gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in the green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men near death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
Yo. Yeah, they stole that poem from Interstellar. Just listen to Let's Hear from 2008, the one where the dude was killing pigs on security cameras. I don't remember that one. Man, there's been so many stories. It's hard to keep up with all of them. Love from the K. Thank you, Dylan. Good to see ya. Good Sunday evening, Joel and company. How did your weekend treat you, Joel? Mine was fantastic. Yeah, what did you do? Mine was good. It went by pretty quickly. I don't even remember what even happened. I played a new game called Body Cam. Have you heard about this? Have you seen this? It's this game called Body Cam. It seems like it kind of took sort of a proof of concept from that like record game or whatever, and then just sort of did it better and faster. Not better, but like faster. And yeah, it's interesting. It's like the graphics are insane because basically it's sort of like a Counter-Strike style game, but like graphically it's insane. It's the point of view. It almost feels like you're in a VR game, but you're controlling it with mouse and keyboard or whatever. Your girlfriend loves to hate my work. She's worried about the things she never thought about. It's alright, we gotta keep the wheels turning in the head. You never know what's behind every corner. But yeah, if you get a chance to try the body cam game, it's really interesting. Like it's like the weapon, it's loud as fuck whenever you like log in. So you might have to adjust some of that. But like, never have I played a game where it's like the guns have sounded so real. The impact of the bullets like have been so authentic, you know, appearing. And what's really interesting too is that it's like a very dynamic lighting and like day-night weather cycle. So like sometimes you'll be sneaking through like a fucking house that was like daytime a little bit ago, but then the next round it was, you know, nighttime, or it switched to like lightning. And like the lightning, oh my god, it's like playing a horror game, but you have like guns. Yeah, it's weird too, because I remember the first time I got killed, I was like, and that's how loud it was. It just like made me realize, I'm like, holy shit, I really hope I never get shot with a gun in real life. And you know, you just imagine like a SWAT team or something like bursts into your house for, you know, whatever reason. And like just how fast it can fucking just like bam, 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 bam. But it's funny because like their main like advertisement they've had is just like people reacting to it, like streamers and stuff. The only thing that I hope that it has is that they can get like a PvE mode involved in there, because that's what I would love to play with some friends. Because sometimes playing against like other people, you know, you get wiped pretty fast and it's sort of hard to appreciate it. But I feel like playing against bots would just be fun. They're doing a terrorist hunt with friends or whatever. David, thank you for the one, my friend. Good to see you. Notice that Jacob Bowling posted as soon as your last stream ended. Oh yeah, we got Jacob. Jacob's got his next 100 messages post stream. He's got the whole. He's seen the future. He's got it all figured out and ready to go. Have you guys been playing any games lately? I've also been playing, what's it called? Fucking Animal Well. I've been telling you about that. And, I technically beat it, or whatever. But it's a really interesting game, because it's sort of like a Metroidvania style game. So, like, you always find, like, a new item that allows you to access, like, new areas. And there's like so many secrets. There's almost like too many secrets. Haven't been playing Elden Ring. No, not a big like Dark Souls fan. Souls-esque. I'm just not that masochistic, you know what I mean? Looking forward to a new game called Neva coming out soon from the same makers of the game Gris. Oh yeah, I remember. I think I played that one. That Gris game. That one was like more just story driven, right? What's it called? Neva. Gris game. Let's take a reveal trailer. Okay, yeah, this looks like it's got cool animation and stuff. Probably very story driven if it's anything like the last one. I remember I beat, I think I beat that Gris game in like an hour, but I mean, it was a nice little cinematic experience for sure. Also, do you guys ever watch Bollywood movies? Been kind of watching some Bollywood movies, and they're so like painfully bad, but then they get to the musical aspects where they start dancing and shit. And that to me is like the most impressive part. It's like to be successful in Bollywood, it's like you got to be attractive. You got to, well, they can't really, it's not like the acting is great, but by Jove, they can dance. But I was curious because the one that I was watching was like 3 hours long, and I'm like, there's no way I'm making it through this. And the one musical aspect was the first song. It was like a solid like 10-minute. It was like a 10-minute like choreographed dance scene. I should learn some Bollywood dances. That would be good. Sully, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. So many effects in those movies. I know, it's amazing. The one I was watching like made no sense. It like started off where it was like about friends visiting a friend in the hospital or something, but you didn't see who they were visiting, who had like cirrhosis. And then at one point, it was like his friend saying like, so-and-so got married. Hey, Salad, what's up, dude? And he was like, really? Was it from that girl? You know, and it's like, then they did like a flashback. But then the flashback just never ended. It just like, it's like the movie forgot that it was doing a flashback and just like kept the movie going. I'm like, okay, I guess we're never going back. Do I need to sub to submit a story? No, yeah, you can submit one. Let's read submissions at gmail.com or on reddit.com/r/let's read official. It was kind of funny. I see people on the subreddit sometimes are like, how do you submit a story? But they'll do that as like a post with like a title and a body and everything. And I'm like, it's just like, bro, you literally just did it. I think you got to figure it out. Renee, thank you for the 5 buckaroons. Says, hey Joel, can you make a playlist of the music you put on while we wait for the stream start, as well as the I'll be back ones? Well, yeah, I kind of just like select random stuff for the pre-music stuff, just stuff on YouTube. But I usually, if people ask what it is, I'll copy and paste, you know, the title. So there that is. Oh wait. Oh, did it like, I think it blocked out my own message. That's kind of hilarious. That'd be amazing if I got banned from my own chat. But yeah, it's just called Beneath the Neon Sky, Secrets of the Gothic. Keep await. I guess that makes sense somehow. I got good taste. I appreciate it. Yeah, I enjoy that electronic stuff, a little liquid DNB, a little synth wave, little hip hop action, wherever the mind takes you. Your birthday was on July 1st, but I'm much older. What's your puppy's name? Oh, you're talking about, sorry. It's funny, I feel like there's a decent amount of like regulars in the chat that like have not made it back. There's Peter. What's up, dude? Am I selling what I'm on? Am I on something? I'm actually very sleep deprived today. I had to wake up early, but I was like in the midst of a really good deep sleep dream and then woke up and was just like, oh, I'm gonna be tired all day. Like every possible chance I like came near a couch or something to lay on, I started to lay down. I was like, nope, can't fall asleep. Because if I fall asleep, my sleep schedule will be dead and gone. Hey Joel, you ever heard of the band Doom Gong? You should give that a listen. Yeah, what kind of band is that? Can I just type in their name and get the first result? Doom Gong. What's up, Mary? Doom Gong live at Whirling Tiger. Doom Gong full album. I wonder if they have any like just... There you go. Kind of unfortunate. Sometimes I'll play music and like the streams, like VODs will get... This is nice though, I like this. The stream VODs will get blocked in certain countries because of music rights or whatever. Rest when you can, when you do well rested, but I really have terrible sleep and these streams keep me company. I try to, you guys keep me company. Listen while I garden, getting the last of my plants in the ground finally. Nice, yeah. It is planting season, isn't it? I do see the tomatoes coming in. That garden might prove much more useful than you would ever imagine. What's up, Michael? But I've been watching a decent amount of Arrested Development as well. You guys watch Arrested Development? That show's pretty funny. That show's very fast paced. Kind of crazy. Meekrod, thank you for the 2. Cheers, brother. Yeah, how did editing that audio go for you? Or I hope it all sounded okay. I sacrificed my life for 1 tomato. The farmer blew your head off with a shotgun. I never caught one of these streams. Also just put up a trellis for my tomato site. Nice, there you go. Yeah, for anybody new, we're just chilling for a little bit. So we're going to be reading some Appalachian trail stories. Rewatching Death Note. Nice, yeah. Death Note was like, it must have been like 10 years or so ago I watched that, and it was one of those ones that, I don't know, it just kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. I'm curious how I would feel watching it again now, if it would still stick with me because of nostalgia, or maybe my younger mind just appreciated more of it. Apple 4chan stories. What is your MBTI? Can I guess? ISTP? What's that mean? Is that like a personality thing? I think I'm a narcissistic psychopath who likes to make bombs for freaking fun. Stream starting poop, yeah. In 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will shit my pants on stream. Am I an introvert or extrovert? I guess a mix of both a little bit. Like, I'm very extroverted with my, like, friends and people that I get to know. But I would say sometimes I feel a little bit, like, guarded around new people, not necessarily in a bad way, but I kind of just like go based off of their energy and just match that kind of to a degree, like to a threshold, I suppose. But I'm not really one that like goes out of the way to like impress random people or be too loud. I don't know, I'm so terrified, not terrified, but I just don't like attracting negative attention to myself or like coming off like a bit of a jerk. Eric, welcome back for 1 month. Says got my first habanero and Reaper harvest on Saturday. There you go. Nice. You're gonna make a little salsa with that? You're probably an INFJ. They're the extroverted introverts. Is that match energy? Okay, interesting. I do really like, I remember going to like one of those things, I think with a church when I was younger, where they like try to do, it was so stupid. You know what I mean? It was silly because it was just like a whole weekend of just looking at your dumb personalities and like fucking, you know, doing team building projects with people you don't know. And it was just like, you know, it's like, yeah, you just want to get the fuck out of there kind of thing. But I do recall that there was only like one person there that had like a personality that was ranked as like a D. It was not ranked as a D, but like had a D where it was like very in your face, tell it how it is type thing. And I kind of wish that I was in his group because he was very rude, and I don't know. I just enjoy people that are mean, not mean per se, but just like that they don't sugarcoat things. I find it very entertaining. Oh shit. All right, guys. But yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Appalachian stories. You can't do a live stream. I'm about to go to the gym. I'm gonna get sucked into this, and it's your fault, grr. That's all right. You can listen in your headphones if you want, if you got the data to keep up. But I hope you get a good pumpy, or whatever it is you're going for, little strength gains. I hope you get it. Just remember, full range of motion, controlled on the way down, and you know, strong on the way up, but still good form. Get that stretch That's the most important part. 8 to 12 reps. You know the deal. Unless you're doing strength, then it's like 3 to 5 or whatever. 3 to 6, I guess. I don't know. You can take a free test online. Takes 10 minutes. Called 16 Personalities. What you're describing isn't MBTI. The D is for disagreeable. Oh, word, yeah. I enjoy disagreeable people. I think they're much more fun to communicate with. Like, I like agreeable people too, to an extent. But there's something to me where someone just is open about how they feel about something. Not to the point of like ignorance, because you still want to have like the discussion. D is for discouraging. D is for Donkey Kong. Been reaffirmed and then centered and grounded. Hell yeah, dude, get in there. Get in there. Life doesn't end today, does it? Have you ever seen The Stand by Stephen King? No, I heard about it though. Brutally honest, yeah. To the point where their words cut deep. Mainly as an outsider watching, though, it's more fun. My grandpa grew up in this little town called Grapefield, Virginia. These days, Grapefield is just 4 streets with a creek running through it, but it used to be a whole lot more. And walk about a mile out of town, past a pair of old logging patches, and you got the Appalachian Trail right there in your figurative doorstep. I used to think growing up in that kind of place would make for an idyllic childhood, with its small-town values, strong sense of community, and the great green forest for a backyard. But there was a reason Grandpa got out of there the first chance he got. They used to say they moved because of the Great Depression, and there might have been at least some truth to that. But if some of the stories Grandpa later told me are anything to go by, it wasn't just money problems that made them want to move. Because although it seems like a quiet and eventful place, Grapefield, Virginia has a real dark past, and some of the folks living there still say it's cursed. Now, back before the Civil War, Grapefield was said to be a prosperous and promising little town where the vast majority of people were employed by one of 2 plantation families who lived at opposite ends of the holler. One family were slave owners and employed white townsfolk as drivers, overseers, tradesmen, and clerks, while the other family were staunch abolitionists and employed all and the same except for their farmhands and technicians were white townsfolk. For the most part, this arrangement people who are brutally honest often enjoy the brutality more than the honesty. Yeah, it's like there's a certain degree of like if I'm going to be honest with someone, I want to be, I guess it's a manifestation of how I've felt over them over a period of time. Like, do I want to lift them up because I love them and tell them the truth? Or have they just been pissing me off for a while and now I can finally have the opportunity to be like, you're a real stinker, puss, brother man. Oh yeah, sorry. There will be a lot of mistakes tonight as we are recording. Oh yeah, I feel like a lot of the mods like don't get notified for the streams either, which I find kind of strange. I left a burp in my recent vid. Good. It might have been part of the character. For the most part, this arrangement worked out just fine for both parties, but as the violence over in Kansas got more and more out of hand, still waters came to a simmer. Before long, the subject of slavery was no longer something that could be discussed politely, and by the time the first shots were fired at Fort Sumter... Sumter? Is it... I feel... Why do I want to say it's Fort Sumter? I don't know why. Fort Sumter. Okay, sorry. How do you say that? About to go to sleep. Night, Justin. Take care. Fort Sumter. Okay. Want to make more confession videos? Yeah, you guys gotta send in your confessions. Quickly now. Isn't this my backyard? The Appalachian... I say Appalachian, but people get pissed. They say it's Appalachian. I don't know, but I've heard it like pronounced like 3 different ways. Appalachian. I don't know. In my opinion, due to the fact that it like goes up from Georgia all the way up into fucking Canada, you know, which is about the length of the UK, I feel like you have like some leeway in how people are going to potato, all of that kind of shit, but you still get dumbos in the comments arguing about how they say it. I always heard it said like this. And I own the mountain. I own that mountain. It's my mountain. You from Arkansas and say it that way? Yeah, I don't know what lands on people, because I mean the way I feel like I've heard people say Appalachian, but I've also heard Appalachian, so it's whatever. But to me, Appalachian sounds almost like more like you're from the backwoods, you know what I mean? Before long, the subject of slavery was no longer something that could be discussed politely, and by the time the first shots were fired at Fort Sumter, folks in Grapefield weren't using words to settle arguments anymore. They were using bullets. Obviously, the abolitionists had what you might call the moral high ground, and the only trouble was Virginia was a slave state, and the profit margins of the slave-owning side... The only trouble was Virginia was a slave state, and the profit margins of the slave-owning side of Grapefield were much higher than those on the abolitionist side, who paid all their people good and fairly. But then, this meant the slave owners had mountains of cash lying around, cash they could use to hire all kinds of unsavory types to protect them from the abolitionists, and that protection usually involved violence, intimidation, and occasionally murder. Some of the abolitionists tried to fight back, but seeing as they were outnumbered and outgunned, most ended up hanging from their barns, and anyone with any sense fled for northern states before they could be targeted. This would have all worked out just fine for the slave owners if it wasn't for the fact that the Graybacks would go on to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And once the Federals arrived in town, the slave owners had to parlay their way back into ownership of their own plantation. Somehow, they managed to do just that. Only this time, they couldn't rely on free labor, and there were no more abolitionist farmers in town to help maintain the plantation. They had all the expertise they needed, just none of the manpower, and although they shipped in folks from out of town to try and fill the gaps, things were never quite the same as they were before. Before the war, the head of the slave-holding plantation family had been cruel and conniving, but he was at least competent. But then his replacement, his eldest surviving son, was a fool, a tyrant, and a drunk. He might not have owned slaves anymore, but he sure did treat his people like they were. And he didn't just treat them like his property. He treated their homes and their families like they were his property too. The new plantation owner always was a little too fresh with Grapefield's womenfolk, but then one night, after a man's wife returned home claiming the plantation owner had violated her, the townsfolk decided that enough was enough. A whole mob of them marched over to the plantation house, but instead of dragging the owner outside and hanging him from his own porch, the mob started going around nailing doors and windows closed. Anyone who tried to escape was shot, and there were lots of folks in there too, not just the plantation owner and his family. They had maids, cooks, nannies for the children, all of whom learned to stay away from the doors or windows, lest they face a hail of bullets. Once they had the plantation house locked down, the mob doused the place and... S.J. Curtis, welcome back for 32 months. Says, hey, Joel, give Pradeep some catnip for me. I shall. 32 months is a long time. Thank you, S.J. Thanks for sticking with me. Mother Russia. Sitting in the dark listening, my cat limp in my arms. It's his last day. Tomorrow I'll be saying goodbye to him. I'm sorry, Angel. Apologize for that. I know he had a good life. Once they had the plantation house locked down, the mob doused the place and set it on fire. The mob were liquored up, and they clapped and cheered as the plantation house burned. But that all stopped when they started to hear the screams of the women and children upstairs. It was then, and only then, that they realized what a terrible thing they'd done. One man tried to pry the nails out of one of the window frames in hopes that he might be able to rescue some of the women and children, but it was too late. There was no way back for them. They couldn't have any witnesses to attest to what they'd done. The whole thing needed to look as much like an accident as possible, not so much for their consciences, but for appearances. No one could ever know the truth of what happened that night. Well, you can see how well that went. The mob must have done a decent job enough of covering things when it came to the authorities, because no one was hanged for burning down the plantation house. But I guess at some point, someone talked, either to their wife or to a minister, maybe even to their deathbed, because once word got out that the fire was no accident, it was like a darkness seeped into Grapefield, one that never went away. The town's economy was completely torn apart. Fear and suspicion became the norm. It took 40 years for the place to even start to heal, but even after things started to pick up again, folks talked of a curse hanging over the town. All that guilt meant a lot of drinking, and all that drinking meant a lot of broken homes, a lot of anguish, and a lot of misery, too. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the kind of town my grandpa grew up in, far from the kind of Hallmark card upbringing that I imagined he had. As you can probably tell, Grandpa talked an awful lot about growing up in Grapefield, probably in an attempt to instill gratitude in myself and his other grandchildren. I can promise you it worked. Because as much as my grandpa had 101 stories from his childhood that'd make you laugh your butt off, he had one or two extremely creepy ones too. He wouldn't tell them often, and he didn't tell us any scary stories when we were kids, but once I was old enough and I happened to be picking his brain one dark October evening, he told me one story I'll remember for as long as I live. It all started when a hunter named Harambe. It's just a monkey with a rifle. That'd be great. Hiram? How do you say this name? Hiram? Oh. That's kind of a sick name, to be honest with you. Hiram? Could you see yourself naming one of your sons Hiram? It's like Skyrim, but he's high as fuck. This is the first story. Yepper. Hiram. Okay, we're good. Yeah. Legend of Zelda Land. Hyrule. Yeah, Hyrule. The land of Hyrule. It all started when a hunter named Hiram Carter walked back into town one day after spending all morning sitting in his blind out in the woods. This was back in 1934, just after Prohibition ended, and someone had set up a little speakeasy kind of joint over on Apple Lane. Hiram walked straight into the speakeasy, drank a whole bottle of beer in 4 or 5 gulps, and chased it down with a double shot of whiskey. Then, when both bottle and glass were empty, Hiram asked for another round. Obviously, a man doesn't drink like that unless something very good has happened, or something very, very bad has happened. So naturally, Hiram's fellow patrons were pretty keen to know what the occasion was. But Hiram didn't have any good news to share. In fact, he was more frightened than he'd ever been in his whole life. He'd been sitting in his blind, which, for those that don't know, is basically like a camouflaged shelter that hunters hide in, and Hiram's there for hours before anything comes along, but sure enough, he starts seeing this big old buck walking through the trees towards him. It's still some distance away, so Hiram's got to wait as it gets closer and closer so he can get the perfect shot. He's got that buck trained in his sights. He's steadying his breathing. Then something spooks the deer, and it goes bolting off through the woods. Hiram lowers... Hey, see ya, Grand. Stay safe, first and foremost. Don't hurt yourself. Attachments lead to sorrow. Yeah, but sometimes sorrow is good to feel, because it just means that attachment was that powerful, which meant, there might be a period of sorrow for you, but that just meant that there was a period of, content that you had with some other being, I suppose. Like the countless number of moments I've had with Pradeep where I just get to pet him and appreciate him for being a little fluffer muffer. Hiram lowers his rifle, trying to spot whatever it was that spooked his deer. Then suddenly, he sees it. Something darts through the trees in front of him, too skinny to be a bear, too big to be a dog, and it's moving so fast that it just about scared Hiram half to death. He stays put in his hide for a few minutes, clutching his rifle with sweaty palms, and then he rushes out of his hide back to his truck and drives all the way back into town as fast as the engine could handle. He said that whatever it was stalking him all the way back to his vehicle. It stayed just out of sight, but it was there, following him, and Hiram said it just about frightened the life out of him. The boys down at the speakeasy told him it was probably just some coyote or a mangy bear that didn't get enough food before hibernating, but Hiram said he was certain about what he saw, and he hadn't seen nothing like it before in his life. It was big, it was fast, and most importantly, it seemed smart. After finishing his drinks, Hiram walked out of the speakeasy and made his way home, but not before warning every man in there to stay the hell out of the woods. Something was out there, and it was dangerous. When word got around about Hiram's encounter out in the woods, some folks took it with a pinch of salt, while the rest took it with a whole shaker. See, Hiram was in the habit of telling tall tales after a few whiskeys. In fact, the only reason he was hunting in the first place was so he could spend half his grocery money on booze. Having the reputation that he did, no one took Hiram's claims all that seriously, and went about their business as usual. But just 7 days later, Hiram's story was the talk of town, and unlike the week prior, they took his claims much more seriously. By the time my grandpa was a boy, and the site of the old plantation house, the one that had been burned down by the townsfolk, had been abandoned and overgrown for almost 50... Oh. Alright guys, click that like button, click share, just click anything. Hey, General Grievous, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Love the podcast the other day that started with a story in Alaska. Thank you, Ollie. Thank you so much. I'm pretty stoked. I got Simon pretty much running the podcast now, so it's kind of hands off. He does all the mixing for the audio and stuff to make it sound pretty. I just got to do... Well, obviously I got to make the content here, but record, that is. Just out of curiosity, how would you spell that name, Hiram? It's spelled Hiram. Like and subscribably. Oh, comrade Sammy, you had commented something earlier today, or maybe yesterday, on the previous live stream, but I forget what you said, but I was in agreement with what you said, I do recall, so I appreciate you responding there. God, why did my message get cut out? What happened? What did it say? Was it a big bad word? By the time my grandpa was a boy, the site of the old plantation house, the one that had been burned down by the townsfolk, had been abandoned and overgrown for almost 50 years. With no heirs to inherit the property, the land had fallen under the temporary ownership of Bland County's comptroller? What is that thing? Anyway, do my cardio. Yeah, dude, I need to, man. Is that a thing? Comptroller? Oh, it's just controller. So it's not comptroller, it's just pronounced controller. Wonder if Joel watched Nuke's top 5s. We would watch it on stream here from time to time. I really want to just start a channel that's like basically Nuke's top 5s and just, you know, comment on other stuff, because it really does seem like those types of videos do very well on the YouTube, and I feel like I need to like sort of expand outward. What's the normal background? Don't know what that thing is. Looks like clay head, antlers. Don't know if I should be scared or left. Yeah, it's I don't know. Robin made it years ago, but I've always just enjoyed it. It's like sort of it's sort of insinuating skinwalker type stuff, but I don't know. It's like a trophy. It's like a skull. It's like, but the weirdest thing is it's just like ominous. You know what I mean? Nukes is not doing too well? What do you mean? Is he sick or something? Or do you mean just views wise? Nukes top 50. Oh no, he's doing perfect, man. 3 weeks ago, 3.2 million views, 10 scary videos that are nightmare fuel. Bro, it's 10 scary videos for you. 10 just, and then this one, just 10 scary videos. Dude, he's doing just fine. All millions of views. That's crazy. I feel like he's kind of like flies. I mean, people know who he is, but I feel like he just like flies under the radar. Like you don't really hear from him, which is probably good, you know. Let's check his Twitter. That'd be funny. You go to his Twitter. He's like, Trump deserved to get his head fucking blown off. Ah. Nope. It's just scary videos. That's good. He's normal. It's not a diss on Mr. Nightmare. That's actually a compliment. He's consistently good, just not as high quality. No, it's all good. Yeah, I mean, he was the inspiration for me to switch over to true scary stories and stuff, so I'll always be thankful for that. He was the OG for show. Might as well watch Chills. Yeah, I mean, Chills is good. You both don't show your face, which is why I think you both are ISTP. Yeah, what's that? Now you make me want to look up these personality traits. ISTP personality, question mark? The ISTP personality, introverted, sensing, the focus on the present moment, or detail-oriented. Thinking, ISTPs make decisions based on logic. Perceiving, they prefer a flexible and adaptable approach to life. Yeah, I mean, the fact that I kind of like adhere to all of those makes me think there's got to be other ones, you know, that, I don't know, it almost like covers too many bases, you know what I mean? Strengths, practical and creative problem solvers. Independent, they value their independence and prefer to work alone, I guess, yeah. Adaptable, they are flexible and can quickly adjust to new situations or changes. Calm under pressure. Not me when I'm playing video games. I'm freaking the frick out. Tavis Whedon, thank you for the 5. Says, shout out to my nephew, introduced me to your channel. We work construction and rock your stores while building. Awesome, Tavis, thank you. I'm saying that right. Appreciate you guys. Tell your nephew I said what up. Gracias. Joel can do the voice. Cillian Murphy is basically... Dude, I don't know. When I was younger, I always called him Cillian Murphy, and to me, that's like a Berenstein Bears type situation where everybody changed it to Cillian Murphy, and I was just like, that's not That's not my guy. Don't come for me, but you'd be considered voicing smut. I have considered voicing smut. I actually know some voice actors who like have like legit, you know, they've like done legitimate roles within the realm of anime and all that kind of stuff. So like, you know, but they like secretly do like hentai voiceover bullshit on the side, you know what I mean, just to like get more paychecks and stuff. And you know, I think down the road at some point I've considered maybe doing some type of OnlyFans thing if they allow like audio stuff, but I just haven't arrived at that position. Maybe if I need to like buy a property in Sweden or something, I'll consider it. Just kidding. A property on Mars. Tavis, I remember rocking Let's Read for hours while finishing the sheetrocking. Oh, you guys cousins? That's funny. Oh my god, never mind. I know who you're talking about. Just got mixed up. Thought Joel had a irreplaceable narration in my opinion. No one comes close. Thank you, Yennefer. I appreciate that. Don't do it. That's fair too, honestly. Like, because sometimes I think about like, how do you even go about promoting an OnlyFans? And like, yeah, would you, if you did it, would people within your community like think that you're a pervert or something, or like lose respect for you, or that kind of thing? I mean, I know like guys kind of get away with it a lot more in the sense of like, if you can make it happen, no one's really gonna like look negatively on you in the same way they might look down on like somebody's mom who does it or something. But I have the free accurate MBTI link, but I can't send it in, can I? You could probably put it on the subreddit or send it over email. It's up to you, but I don't think you can put links in the Chizat. Maybe we can do a personality thing at the end. How long did you say it takes? Not that long. We could maybe do it together. I could, if you guys could remind me. My ex-best friend made an OnlyFans and sent a link to my mom. Nice. And your mom's like, oh, hell yeah. Have you guys heard about Joel? What a perv. What a perv that makes money on Only Scams. Dude, imagine the feeling of being the person that runs OnlyFans. Like, what is that all? What does that gotta feel like? You're like a digital madame. It aids in the over-sexualization of society as a whole. We're all objectifying each other for sex and money. That's true too, yeah. Like, looking at it philosophically. I mean, I guess like my voice in many ways provides what I've come to find a few different things to people. Like, either it helps them relax and sleep. It helps them like focus. But there is like a sexualization for sure in there as well, and that's the one that's not quite as, I guess I haven't like capitalized on the marketing aspect of that, so that would be just the primary motivator, I guess, for the OnlyFans. But at the same time, do I really need that kind of money? Do I really have the time? It would mainly be like a time thing, and yeah, also like, would it hurt reputation? Which, there might be a degree of people that would be like, fuck this channel, fucking OnlyFans loser, weirdo. Paige Hurdson, thank you for the big 10, New Zealand. Woo! Woo, 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 woo. I'm back. Woo, 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 woo. If I'm doing busy work, keeps me from being bored. There you go. Use it for the greater good, yeah. This is for... It was a moral choice to read My Little Pony stuff. Do Obley Scames voice? Who's that? Most people find your voice relaxing and see comments saying that, not saying it wrong. That's true, yeah. I just think like on YouTube, you can't really, I mean, I'm sure stuff gets filtered out that people do want to say. Patreon smut. Yeah, I guess you could do the Patreon one / OnlyFans. I don't know how you promote that though, but like I said, whether I would have time for that kind of thing. Do you need any female? Sorry, I thought I just saw a bug crawling on the ground. Dude, you know what sucks? So in my house, I have those like, sort of, they look like a blur when you see them. They look like a blur, but they're like centipedes. So I got those, and they're annoying. I mean, they're not annoying. Like, they run away from you, which is kind of funny. But like lately, now that it's summer, I started seeing those like fucking like pincher bugs that you like might find in like a, you know, like a little area where you keep sandbox. If you ever remember like sandboxes growing up and shit, and you would see those like little pincher bugs that have like, it looks like something that would fucking circumcise you. You know what I mean? They've like just chompers on that shit, like a pair of scissors. And I started seeing them around, and I've never seen them before. Yeah, earwigs. Oh, no. Do they climb in your ear and shit? Do they actually climb in your ear? Because that would fucking suck, dude. Is there like a big motivation? Is that like their fetish, is like ears, those bugs? What's up, owned by cats? Roaches with scissors, yeah. They climb in your ass. Okay, yeah, well, that's fine. I just got like a whole colony up your rectum. Every time you shit, you like see them crawling up the toilet. You're like, what the hell? What the hell is that? They live down there? I found a black widow in your closet one time. Yeah, that would suck too. One thing, you know, I actually have a fear is if you live in like Arizona and they have those like little scorpions that like are sort of semi-territorial. And I've heard people that say they live out there and they're just like chilling, you know, they're just standing there having a conversation with their friends, and then a fucking little Scorpio comes over and just like stabs your toe because it's pissed that you're there, you know, because, you know, it can't control itself, it's on steroids. And or like, what I mean, I always had like what if you're just like sleeping, just like, and like the best dream ever, and then one just like crawls onto your bed and like stings your face. You're just like, you don't even know what's going on. And you like feel it crawling, and it's dark, and you're like freaking the fuck out. Oh man. The Northeast has an influx of silverfish and lanternflies. Oh god. We don't need any more bugs. What we should do is release a bunch of frogs to eat them all. And then when the frogs get too many, we release, I don't know, homeless people. Do they eat frogs? Can you be my female narrator? I guess I don't really need any other narrators on my channel. It's kind of just myself, and I do all the voices and stuff, and it would just take way too much time to, like, you know what I mean? I'm just recording here during the live streams. I do appreciate you asking, though. I know some people have said, like, and it's not that many, though. It's just like a few people have said, like, could you do a female for the female parts? But it's like almost every story is female when it comes to the Reddit stuff, so it would just take too much coordination. Paige, welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Mason jars with charcoal in them. Take the moisture out. Put them all around your house. Oh, is that what they want? They want moisture? Yeah, who's going to eat the homeless people after they eat all the frogs? YouTube Premium, can't thank you enough for helping me. So love you. Hey, thank you, Roshan. Good to see you. Did you get a lot of stories sent to you that are clearly made up? I guess it's hard for me to know because I have people that like do a quick scan of them just to like see what and compile them and stuff. So most of the time I'm kind of just experiencing a compilation of the stories, like lightly edited. Well, probably more than lightly edited, but and then sent to me. Here's the files you asked for, sir. Thank you, thank you. Your dad woke up with a swollen hand when he was in the military in the barracks. Scorpion got him in his sleep. Man, it's just so stupid. Like, what? Like, you know, it's just like, what does it want? Same with spiders. They, like, just randomly are like, I'm gonna come down from the ceiling and kill this colossal beast in front of me. Any hot takes? I have a hot take from time to time. I have a really hot take on hot cakes, which are pancakes. And that hot take is that I like them. I like them hot. I like them covered in butter and syrup. And I like to go do lumberjack work in the woods, just to really get into character. Camel spiders, yeah, those are freaky. With no heirs to inherit the property, the land had fallen under the temporary ownership of Bland County's controller, whose only task was to find the property a buyer. But then, in the 40-plus years it had been up for sale, the county hadn't been able to find one. Even the carpetbaggers from up in New York and Chicago wanted nothing to do with it. They'd roll through in their fancy stagecoaches and top hats, take one look at the land and the folks living on it and say, "Thanks, but no thanks." As a result, the land was all waist-high grass, wildflowers, and cypress trees, surrounding the brick foundations of the old plantation house. Local kids were warned to stay away from the place, but I guess kids back then were no different than kids today because they ignored their parents' warnings completely. I guess on account of how mysterious and spooky it was, but kids around my grandpa's age, so about 10 or 11, would often sneak up to the old plantation to explore the grounds. My grandpa said that he went up there once or twice himself, but that he was always getting a bad feeling whenever he was near that place. He'd heard the stories, everyone had, about the plantation being haunted, about the town being cursed. It just wasn't enough to keep the kids away. And for one little girl, ignoring those warnings almost cost her life. One day, a little girl came running back into town with her even younger sister in tow, and they were both out of their poor little minds with fright. They'd been taking their beagle pup out for some exercise and decided to take it onto the old plantation grounds to run him around a little. They were there for no more than a few minutes before their dog suddenly tucked its tail between its legs and started to growl. The older girl gave the dog's leash a tug, and it was only too happy to get the hell away from that creepy old place. But then, as they're walking, the older of the two girls see something moving in the trees surrounding the old plantation, something that scared the living hell out of her, something she later described as a monster. Later, she was safe and a little calmer. The older girl was asked for more details on what she'd seen. She said that the monster had been creeping through the trees on all fours at first, but when it saw her, it raised itself up on its hind legs to watch her from across the clearing. Then, when she and her sister started to run back towards Grapefield, the thing in the tree line dropped back on all four legs again, then started running in their direction like it was trying to cut them off. The two girls ran as fast as their legs could carry them, with their dog doubling back every so often to bark up a storm in the hopes of protecting his owners. Thankfully, the girls managed to make it into town before whatever it was caught up with them, but when they arrived, they were sobbing something fierce. The older of the two girls said the creature was huge, with shaggy hair all over its body, but none at all around its muzzle, which appeared horribly misshapen and deformed. This time, people took the claims much more seriously, but they still thought that it must have been some kind of mangy bear that had attacked the girls. After their hibernation period, if a bear can't find itself a snack in quick enough time, they can get really hungry, and you better believe that a hungry bear is a very dangerous bear as well. And having something raid a few chicken coops or butcher a few hogs, that was one thing, but having the thing hunting the town's children, that could not be tolerated. The most accomplished hunter in Grapefield, a man named Rufus Robinson, volunteered to head out into the woods with his Australian shepherd. He'd said he'd come back with the beast's head, or he wouldn't be back at all. Well, a few days later, Rufus's Aussie shepherd came hobbling back into town all on its lonesome. It walked right over to Rufus's cabin, but then instead of sitting on his porch, the dog went and laid down on his neighbor's, almost like it knew that Rufus wasn't coming home. Folks said Rufus's dog might have run ahead, gotten itself lost, then simply walked back home to wait for his master. He'll be back in a few days, they said. Ain't no mangy bear got the better of old Rufus. But Rufus never came back with no mangy bear's head. In fact, Rufus Robinson never came back at all. and there was no sending a search party in after him unless its first and foremost task was hunting down the bear that took him. And that's when the townsfolk formed a hunting party, 6 of their best men that'd head out into the woods with shotguns and rifles and bring home Rufus's body and end the threat that mangy bear posed once and for all. Well, according to a member of the hunting party, they were out there for poopy balls and shit. Damn it. Tourette's kicked in for a second. Like Kelly's music is song about sweet Sadie is beautiful. I wonder if the creature in the story is the same as the background. Maybe, yeah. I remember like years ago, I think on stream we watched some video where they said it was a dog man, and it really did look like it was up on all like hind legs and then on all fours, but it just looked like a dog that was like the size of a bear, if that makes sense. Just like the most muscular giant fucking hunk of tank meat you've ever seen. And it was just like sprinting at this dude who was on like a 4-wheeler, and then his like camera cut off or something. Oh yes, sorry Babes, thank you so much. It like scrolled past it and I apologize, I was locked in there. Babes, thank you so much for the 5 gifters to Miss Cookie, Finksy, Manny Castillo, Holly Jasinski, Kenny Aragon. Thank you so much again, Babes. Guys, be sure to thank you for that. You now have access to bonus content. My voice is trending on TikTok? Really? You kidding me? I don't believe you. I don't even have a TikTok, to be honest, anymore. How do you even look it up? Oh. Reposts. What? Oh, that's what I posted. Never mind. I was like, what the fuck? Joel hasn't pre-pubescent voice cracked yet. Let's read. I'm disappointed. It hits eventually. My best follows, man. Love the work. Thank you, Amos. Good to see you. Yo, Carly, what's good? Wait, I wanted to vanish so completely. Is that what? How do you even search stuff if you wanted to search stuff on TikTok? Sigma. I don't want to sign in, bro. Why does this make me... Why can't you just like look through TikTok like you could fucking YouTube? Why does China have to have everything? I wanted to vanish so completely that not even I would remember me. Really? I don't know. Maybe someone used an AI thing or something, but, you know, I also don't remember every story. Sometimes I'm good at remembering stories when like reading it. I wanted to vanish so completely that... Wow. Oh no, that's not me. That's from Mr. Robot. People have said I sound like Mr. Robot, but that is Mr. Robot's voice. That's funny though. I was excited. I was like, let's go, finally. Yeah, it's just a Mr. Robot thing. Unless they use my voice for it. I don't know, no idea. Curl up, sleep in his Yennefer. Yennefer. Oh, that's awesome. Give him a little smooch. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. But swap the O's with E's. Skibby-Dee. Skibby-Dee-Dibbity toilet. It could be AI. I know, that's the only bad thing is like I've had people like type comments saying like, is this AI? And it's like, fuck. That just means my voice can be like easily stolen. If you start doing voiceovers, bro, like quotes. Yeah, you know, maybe like doing quotes and posting those is like... I don't know. I need somebody that like would have some good ideas for like marketing or some random bullshit. I have no idea. I'm so bad at that stuff, and I feel like I'm missing out. Hey, America Soria. Welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. You kind of do, though. The first thing I thought of when I first discovered you, that Mr. Robot Riz. Yeah. I haven't watched that show, though. I heard it was good. Get me trending. Get me trending. The weird thing, though, is almost like would rather not be trending. In that same sort of like personality test thing you were talking about, like, it's like I know I do YouTube, but there's also a part of me that like does not want the attention of like large swaths of like foaming at the mouth TikTokers. You have 125k followers on TikTok. I could run your account. What's your TikTok called, Skrilla? I feel like, did you tell me about that before? The Skrilla, the Manila. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Skrilla de Villa. What kind? Is this gaming content? Oh yeah, it's gameplay. Interesting. That's cool. What's your most liked one? Are you able to like sort by like the most popular one? The only bad thing about TikTok is like I remember Jensen, he comes in here from time to time. He had a pretty successful TikTok with comedy and stuff where he just, you know, do Chill's voice. But his were really like hit or miss as far as like the virality of a video. 9.8 million, that's crazy. But that's the thing, you can see it's like one gets like totally viral and then like other ones only get like a couple hundred, and it's like I don't really know, you know, how you really find that like consistent success within the and like has the TikTok ship sailed at this point? Gonna get your YouTube going. Yeah, what kind of content do you make? Would it transfer over to YouTube, or is it just gameplay stuff? Or the quote I wrote minutes ago had 35k videos under it. People use their voiceovers a lot. Okay. Read your favorite stoic quotes over some necked beats. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Well, according to a member of the hunting party, they were out there for less than 24 hours before they found the thing they'd been stalking the town's children. That had been, my bad. Well, according to a member of the hunting party, they were out there for less than 24 hours before they found the thing that had been stalking the town's children, and it wasn't no bear. One night they set up a real simple trap, just laid some fresh meat as bait out in the open, then all they had to do was wait. Well, they waited, and they waited, but nothing showed. Then just when someone gets up to collect the meat so they can move it someplace else, bingo, the thing comes tearing through the trees and attacks the man who approached the meat. It almost took a chunk of his arm before he managed to stick a knife in the thing. Then once he was free of its grip, his hunting buddies emptied almost every shell they had into it, and they didn't stop firing until the beast stopped moving. Once they were quite certain the thing was dead, the hunters approached, shining their lanterns on the creature to get a better look. Only then did they realize what they were looking at. It wasn't any kind of bear. It was a man. His hair and beard were long and shaggy, his unclothed body so filthy in parts that the dirt and mud appeared as a second kind of skin. Whatever with their... Oh, so it wasn't a dog man. Oh, that's good, though. I guess dog is in the sense that that's what they would call him, the dog man. Awoo! Man bear piggy. Man bear piglet. That actually would be really cute. Imagine like man bear pig is like a baby. South Park should start doing that because I feel like you got baby Yoda and baby Groot. I don't know, but you need baby man bear pig baby. Hey Rachel, thank you. TikTok is done. It is done for. Yeah, I don't know. Aren't they? Do we have any updates on the? Let's see, TikTok lawsuit because they were suing the government or something for banning them. TikTok is involved in multiple lawsuits in 2024. Any news? TikTok slaps rival content creator with lawsuit that could change the influencer game as we know it. Can we read this? Legal spat between two social media rivals could change the influencer game as we know it, legal experts told. Texas woman with more than 500,000 followers has filed what could be a first-of-its-kind lawsuit accusing another content creator of duplicating her TikTok, Instagram, and Amazon storefront posts. Sydney Nicole Gifford, 24, claimed Alyssa Shield, 21, copied her neutral, beige, and cream aesthetics and featured the same of her substantially similar Amazon products promoted by Gifford as a mimic. Oh, that's gonna get fucking thrown out, dude. Whatever. I thought it was something to do with actual TikTok. Whatever. People are so fucking nuts, man. Man bear piglet would be hideous. It'd be a cute little thing. Somebody should make that in AI. Yeah, I feel like the benefits of TikTok happened like 3 or 4 years ago. Because, you look at someone like Mr. Ballin, he like blew up on there, transferred his success to YouTube, transferred his success to all the other platforms and various things, and which is awesome, but I just don't think that ability to like blow up is as common. Like you've been able to blow up on YouTube for a while now, you know what I mean? A solid decade of just like random people blowing up every so often, or at least like to the point where it's like sustainable. But yeah, I don't know. TikTok, I mean, obviously you don't even make any fucking money on TikTok, even with like some of the people with 1 million followers. It's not like they get anything. Hey Eric, thank you for the 10s. Has been listening for years, bro. Sometimes before I sleep or during work break. Never stop grinding. Thank you, Eric. I don't plan to. Gonna run this train till the wheels turn into little cheese wheels. But thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Wherever there was bare skin, such as his face, his chest, and his shoulders, there were hideous webs of burn scars, so much so that the man beneath had been robbed of his human appearance. His spine was arched and contorted, his hands and feet bore heavy calluses, and at the ends of long bony fingers sprouted sharp, filth-encrusted claws. Obviously none of the men had ever seen anything quite like it, so they dragged the man's body out of the woods, then woke up the town's doctor to come inspect their quarry. Now this doctor had been Grapefield's resident physician for the better part of 50 years. He treated everyone in town that had lived there since the 1870s, including the old plantation owner and his family. It was him that realized who the man was, why he was covered in burn scars, and why he'd been living like a wild animal for what must have been decades. It was one of the plantation owner's sons. Back on the night of the plantation house being burned down, the mob encircled the building to make sure no one could escape. They took shots at anyone who came near the windows or doors, at least all except one. The plantation house was huge, so the dozen or so men that made up the mob had to space themselves out real wide to cover all the angles. One man, stationed just off the east wing, sees someone scrambling out of a small cellar grate. He raised his rifle, got ready to fire, but then saw it was just a boy, his skin all scorched and blistering, and he didn't have it in him to execute a child. Besides, he was so burned up that there was no way that he'd survive more than a day or two out there in the woods all alone. So instead of filling him full of lead, like they did with the others who tried to escape, the man let the boy go, having no idea that in decades to come, his decision would come back to quite literally haunt them. No one knows how the boy survived out in the woods for so long, or why he'd chosen to live out in the trails of Appalachia instead of trying to settle down any place. Most suspect that the grief of losing his whole family so suddenly drove him insane, and that fear of mankind kept him living in the woods like some type of animal. But there are a few who agree on how he came to look the way he did. Obviously, the scars were present all over his body, being from the fire. But what wasn't so clear was how the boy had come to be so comfortable running on all fours like some type of dog. Some said that he must have been born that way, and his appearance was probably why he couldn't settle down anywhere. They figured that since he got treated like a monster, he started acting like one too. But others said that he was perfectly healthy, and that in slowly losing his humanity, he learned to run and hunt like an animal. Honestly, I don't know what to make of any of this, and neither did my grandpa. He always thought it was some myth or legend, until his own ma and pa confirmed that it was indeed the truth. They said that the boy's death was just another in a long line of murders that never saw justice, and since they couldn't stand one another, they decided to move. Not one another, but yeah, I like this story too. I like to start with the long ones. I missed a new member. I'm sorry. Let me scroll up right quick. Oh no, did I get America? Yeah, I got her right. Or was there one before that? Sorry. Yeah, I think I got America. Yeah, thank you, America, again. America. You forgot this was a live stream. You zoned out. Average gamer moment. TikTok also takes about 70% of what people donate. Dude, yeah, it's such a fucking scam, dude. I think the worst part about it is that they like run ads before and after everybody's videos, so they technically don't run like ads, you know, on your content or whatever. So they, you know, they give you so there's like a creator fund, right? And then based on like the views or whatever you get a percentage of that base creator fund. Now, if TikTok does well, you technically will do well, but it's always going to be like limited to that like specific fund or whatever. And your potential for earnings from TikTok is really only based on how you can translate that success there to like other platforms that can be better monetized, like YouTube or podcast or Patreon or whatever. And to me, I hate that about TikTok, because it's set this example within the minds of, you know, other social media giants that they should copy that, because so many people like spend their time doing shorts, which is something that I do for sure. But as we've seen with YouTube shorts, you don't make any fucking money doing YouTube shorts. And in the beginning, it like actually annoyed a lot of people, and I guess now they operate on like separate algorithms or whatever, which thank God. But you know, I'm not, you know, there's no motivation for me as a content creator other than maybe like attracting someone to my content to fucking make any shorts. I don't know. You know, it's just silly. But yeah, I tried the TikTok on 2 different accounts. One was just like a normal one I made, and another was like a designated, you know, a starting fresh one. Tried that for a while. No such luck. Post-work, oh, they're going to say post-workout, but yeah, post-work is good too. It's not about the money, it's about the art. Yeah, but the money needs to keep you going, you know, to a reasonable extent. And money also motivates people to get on your platform. Like the reason like every fucking high school kid or whatever wants to be a YouTuber, every little kid now, is because it seems obtainable. You know, when I grew up or whatever, back in my day, you know, it was like watching Hollywood people all the time. And, you know, you only ever would identify like a few people within your, you know, graduating class or something as like capable of maybe doing Hollywood stuff. But even that is like so wildly rare. And now go make a fucking podcast, go make a YouTube channel, and make more than like people who have been like studying acting their entire fucking life, you know, pursuing it out in New York or LA, doing theater, all that kind of shit. You know, and some people might say it like bastardizes the art, but it's like, fuck that, dude. Spread the wealth. You know, why does like one big studio network run by Harvey Weinstein deserve all the advertising revenue and the entertainment distribution and information distribution, you know? This is silly. I sold out, man. I miss the old Joel. You know, the good stuff. Back on the playground. This is a cash grab. They said that the boy's death was just another in a long line of murders that never saw justice, and since they couldn't stand another one, they decided to move. Grandpa raised the point that it couldn't have been murder if the hunters were just defending themselves, and his pa responded with, wait. Oh, Grandpa and Pa, his pa, okay. Can't stand Harvey Weinstein. What about the fact that his assistant, who was like aware of all that shit going on for a long time, has like some of the most prominent positions in Hollywood as we speak? Grandpa raised the point that it couldn't have been murder if the hunters were just defending themselves, and his pa responded with what I think are some wise words. He said that the boy never really survived the plantation fire that night, how he was probably wandering around the woods living like an animal, never truly being a person. Whether he came back to Grapefield for revenge or just to revisit the place he grew up, killing him meant finishing off a murder that started 30 or 40 years earlier, and that's why people say the town is cursed. Not because there's some evil spirit lurking around the place, but because those who came before condemned those who came after to have all the same blood on their hands. Joel is now the president of the United States. Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard, but yeah, Joe Biden's dropping out of the race. He did endorse me as his successor. I'll be running on the cool. I'll be a Democrat, but I'll be cool, a cool one that I promise won't take all your money and all of your swords. If anybody has any like katanas, I promise not to take those. $29, $24. I'll be president. I just gotta wait 900 years. Promise to let you jaywalk without any problems. The thing is with jaywalking is that it's moralistically abhorrent. So my hope is that like at every red light across the nation, not just like in like Times Square, but like backwater Kansas, I hope that every red light will have, like in a crosswalk, will also have like a security camera with like a turret, so that if you are to jaywalk, it can turn you into like a fine pink mist for committing such an atrocity against man and God. Why not beanbags? Well, I don't want the person to live for doing something like that. Like if you're gonna jaywalk one time, you're probably gonna do it twice. And do you really want those people out there in the streets? Also, I got shit in my lungs. It sucks. You'd vote for me, thanks, dude. Coming in with 3 votes, Joel. Why do you think no one young runs for presidency? I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. It's probably all just a big fucking show by the intel agencies, and those people can be trusted because they've been around long enough to be blackmailed and purchased. Or maybe cloned too. Maybe old people are easier to clone because sometimes the cloned skin starts to melt off a little bit. Are you old enough for president past 60? I think it's 40 or 35, is it? How old run for president? Yeah, 35. Natural born U.S. citizen, at least 35 years old. Oh, yeah. The Joel administration, steroids are encouraged. This is true. Everyone's going to be on the carnivore diet. We're going to be just every morning just injecting whatever into our ass. Just throw it in there, see what happens, and hit the gym. Sell your soul to be president. Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, you really, at the end of the day, like, we sit there and watch a show. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, there's real manifestations that occur from said show, but I feel like all you really have to do is control for a few very specific variables, and the show goes on, and we all just kind of rip and roar and robbity-doo-ba-da-da. But all I care about is getting my hot latte from Dunkin'. What's up, Sarah? Sounds like Rick and Morty stuff with all the cloning, yeah. I mean, come on, like, they gotta have good clones by now. Didn't they have clones in the 90s? Maybe even before that? And, like, they say, like, well, clones die early. It's like, what, you don't think the person that figured out how to make, like, replicas of other creatures didn't eventually, you know, unlock the genome that makes them die at 3 years old? What about a roundabout? I think it'd be cool to, like, do roundabouts that just keep going down into the ground, you know, for a long... Oh, that would be sick. Underground cities. Yes, who knows? Did I hear your voice in Jay Nightmares? You may have, yeah. Jay has been very kind to help with translating some and providing some Japanese scary stories. How many stories we got left? We got 4 left. That last one was a long and thick boy. Is Dunkin's Donuts cheaper than Starbucks and Big B? I've never been to Big B, but Dunkin', I do believe, is cheaper than Starbucks. But I will say Starbucks quality is at least 50% better, because the egg bites that they have at Starbucks taste better and they look better. And when you go to Starbucks, you can actually get a mocha, which is pretty much just like an adult chocolate, hot chocolate. But, you know, whereas you go to, like, Dunkin', and it's like they just have, like, mocha, like, high fructose cream pump that they just, like, squirt, you know, diarrhea juice at the bottom of, like, thinking they're like, coffee, mix that together, here you go. There are already underground cities? Dude, yeah, how big do you think those are? I've always been curious about, like, those, like, government projects that are so large, like when they create, like, underground, deep underground bases and stuff. But, like, you have to have the people that do the contract work for it. You know, you have to have them, like, work in, like, layers. Like, somebody designs this part, another person builds this part, another person, like, brings the, you know, provides the materials, but all of it's under, like, very strict NDA, and none of them ever communicate. And it's just like, who's the head of this serpent along the way, and how do they figure out these very complex, like, logistical processes? It must be fascinating. You haven't slept well this week. Last night I slept at 1 a.m. and woke up at 12:30 p.m. Oh, okay. All morning to-do list through the window. Well, at least you got some sleep, though. Probably felt good. Vent with the 2 says hot coffee with extra diarrhea juice, please. Thank you. If I'm president, will I get you a job? Yeah, you can be director of fucking being a gamer and sleeping until 3 and getting on Discord with the homies. I want to tell you a little story about a pretty Appalachian girl named Willa May Martin, or as we call her around here, the girl who married a corpse. Willa May lived with her husband in a place called Clinch Valley over in eastern Tennessee. They were a young couple, married at 17 in a shotgun wedding once Willa May realized that she was pregnant. They moved into a small rural home together, and for at least a little while they were happy. But tragically, around halfway through the pregnancy, Willa May lost the baby, and unfair as it was, Alden never forgave her. Wait, who's Alden? Presumably Alden's the husband, right? Ooh, I feel like we skipped that part. Oh, wait, no, yeah. Her husband, I'll just say her husband, I don't fucking know. Director of sales, yeah. Director of selling out the country and director of creating a larger gap between the middle class and Jeff Bezos. Director of convincing everyone to fight over really petty identity politic nonsense. Director of propaganda. Director of pretending like the Epstein thing doesn't matter. Jacob, it's the man, the myth. 29 months says, I have to be honest, every time I watch a live stream, every chat member has cared, and I'm always amazed at the amount of love I get at this chat. Hell yeah, Jacob, we love you, bro. We're happy to see you. You've been missing. Millions to starve. Is it just me, or did the stream just buffer? It might have. It's been weird sometimes. But Jacob, thank you for the 29 months. Good to see you. Send you love. Love you, Alex. Good to see you as well. But tragically, around halfway through the pregnancy, Willa May lost the baby, and unfair as it was, Alden, her husband, never forgave her for it. He blamed Willa May for the miscarriage, saying that she didn't take... Jacob is a star. Every Jacob is a star. Every Jacob is a star. He blamed Willa May for the miscarriage, saying she didn't take care of herself properly, and accused her of not loving him anymore. He couldn't deal with the grief, so he drank, and when he drank, he beat Willa May something terrible. And after a while, the only thing Willa May liked about her husband was the fact that he worked as an oil driller down in Texas. That meant that he worked 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off, which for Willa May meant 2 weeks of heaven, followed by 2 weeks of hell. Whenever he was away, Alden asked his brother, Silas Martin, to check in on his wife every so often to keep an eye on her. He did as he asked, stopping by once a month or so to do all the man's work around the home. But after a while, Silas, who was unmarried, began to wonder why Willa May had such a melancholy about her. He talked to her sometimes and asked her questions, and when Willa May realized that he was genuinely curious about her and wasn't her husband's spy, she broke down and told him everything. How he beat her, how he berated her, how her life was barely worth living. Silas did his best to comfort poor Willa May, and then one thing led to another, and they ended up falling in love. They tried not to act on it for as long as they could, but while spirits were strong, their flesh was weak. After violating the sanctity of marriage, the clandestine couple knew they couldn't continue their affair. Damn, that's a good sentence, though. Listen, this is a really good sentence. After violating the sanctity of marriage, the clandestine couple knew they couldn't continue their affair in secret. You're truly the man, sir. Well wishes from Detroit. Thank you, Ocean. Good to see you. Did you know the Dirt Man, Bread Man? Who's that? Is that like the Dog Man? The Bread Man cometh. Do 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 do. After violating the sanctity of marriage, the clandestine couple knew they couldn't continue their affair in secret. Willa May had to do the right thing and break off her marriage to Alden. She waited until Alden went Spoon Man. She waited until Alden went on down to Texas to work for 2 weeks, and then, after spending a few days packing up her things and planning her escape with her new beau. Wait, beau, right? It's beau. Remember getting absolutely reamed out for saying that wrong. Gladiator 2 is coming soon. Finally, a good movie. Yeah, it does look like it will be decent. I was really angry though that for the trailer they used like a Jay-Z song, which like is fucking like, I get it. You're trying to appeal to, I don't even know what you're trying to appeal to. Like, just, I have no fucking clue. It's a fucking like historical piece, you know, hopefully on the same caliber of seriousness as fucking Gladiator. Like, why the fuck are you putting beats in there? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't know. It just was stupid as hell. Waiting on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I hope it's good. I do really hope that the Gladiator 2 is good. I just don't know why you're calling it Gladiator 2 either, you know? Like, it might be a follow-up from, you know, the kid at the end of Gladiator. But it just, I don't know. Like, after all that time and, like, how strong a standalone movie Gladiator is, it's like, call it something like Gladiator, space, Denzel, or, you know, Gladiator, Ecclesiastes, you know, or whatever the guy's name is going to be. Something just like, I mean, we all went and saw Oppenheimer, and that's a silly old name, you know. Gladiator and his whole family were murdered. Yeah, but I think it's the son of, what the fuck's his name? Remember in the first one when the oldest, basically the rival, what was, God, I can't even remember. Joaquin Phoenix's character, there we go. It was Joaquin Phoenix's, like, nephew or something, or son, or, like, inbred son. I don't even fucking know. But I do really find it funny, though, as far as, like, you can already tell from the trailer, like, they have those, like, two really pale twins who are like, ha 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 ha, oh, father, father, ooh, I love blood. I love wearing makeup and I love blood. Mm-hmm. You know? Well, I'm not saying the kid was inbred or whatever, but there was this sort of presumption that Joaquin Phoenix's character had a sort of interfamilial relationship with the sis. And I don't know if that's what created the boy. But now I think he's going to be the main character in the second one. He's got a hunchback. She waited until Alden went down to Texas to work for 2 weeks, and then, after spending a few days packing up her things and planning her escape with her new beau, right? Am I dumb? Jesus Christ. She waited until Alden went on down to Texas to work for 2 weeks, and then after spending a few days packing up her things and planning her escape with her new beau, Willa May sat down to write Alden a letter. Word has it, she gave him both barrels in that old letter of hers, told him what a piece of trash he was, how she'd never really loved him, and how she'd see him in hell. She then grabbed her bags, then rode a wagon all the way to Bean Station, just over 12 miles away. When Willa May arrived at Bean Station, she found Silas waiting for her. There was just one problem. Silas couldn't collect the last of his wages until the next day, at which point they'd have enough money to survive on for a while once they'd made it to California. Silas put Willa May up in a cheap hotel, then said that he'd meet her at the train station the very next morning with all the cash they needed to start a new life together. The next morning, Willa May got up, got dressed, then headed to the station to meet Silas. When she arrived, she saw him waiting on the platform for her, wearing his favorite felt hat and jacket. But as she got closer and the figure turned, she saw it was not Silas Martin at all, but rather her husband, Alden Martin, wearing her brother's clothes. You see, Alden had arrived in Texas to begin his 2 weeks of work, only to find his services were no longer required. He could come back in 2 weeks and try his luck then, but for the time being, he'd have to head back up to Appalachia and try to make do with what he had saved. Alden then caught an overnight train back up to Tennessee, then caught another bean. Do 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 do. Yeah, I remember on the plane, I forget which plane, but I was on a plane at some point, and I watched, a Ridley, was it Ridley Scott or whatever, the one that did Gladiator? Well, he had Joaquin Phoenix play Napoleon, and the movie wasn't bad by any means, but it was basically like biopic or whatever, of Napoleon's life, the conqueror, all the revolution, the coup d'etat, all that kind of shit. And but overall, I would say that it's boring. Got the anabolic cough. I will be honest with you. So I didn't start, testosterone or anything like that, but so I started on this peptide called CJC, along with imiprelin, and it's supposed to it's like a peptide that's like a HGH secretagogue, if that makes sense, and it's basically supposed to help you recover, increase your pituitary's release of human growth hormone, and basically increase muscle mass while losing fat. But it's not as effective as testosterone. If you were to take an exogenous hormone or something, it's you still have to diet and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of weird because they said that you might have a bit of because it increases your immune system, so you might have a bit of a reaction to it. And I did notice that. I'm like, what the fuck? I am noticing a little bit of shit in my lungs for some reason. And I don't know if it's my lungs are acting up and getting old shit out of there that's buried deep in the alveoli crevices or something, but I don't know. Apparently they depicted Napoleon as some incel weirdo, which is absolute fucking bullshit, and I hate that. You don't know if they depicted him per se as a incel weirdo, but I just don't know if there was enough time to depict him. It was one of those things where it's it was mainly about his relationship with his one wife, and that weird tumultuous back and forth he had with her. The only he liked her, but the only reason they stuck together was because she was kind of a bitch and he liked her being bitchy or something. So he was obsessed with her, but he couldn't have a kid with her, so he had some other kids with some other people. I don't know. But just the way that they fought back then was kind of weird too, because they would just volley at each other, which, granted, it probably felt good for Napoleon just being able to send people to go die or whatever, but I don't know, just so many unnecessary lives lost. They could have just sent the Navy SEALs. Hey, Jacob, thanks, dude. Watch House of Dragon. Heck yeah, nice. But yeah, overall, sorry, yeah, just the way they depicted Napoleon. The movie was, I guess, just the best way I could describe it was boring. It was one of those ones where like you would see it as a kid and you have no fucking clue what's going on because you just don't care. Like when I was a kid and I watched Gladiator, I know that it's not as like historical or whatever, but you followed the characters, you liked the characters, you know, it had the appropriate action sequences to keep your attention, but also like appropriate dialogue and like, you know, character development and all that kind of stuff that like as a kid you can still enjoy that movie as a great movie. But Napoleon was just kind of like boring, and that's pretty much it. Like he was a little bit pompous as a person, like a little bit, but it I don't know, you really didn't like you know, it was just not that, like Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor, but it's just like one of those things where it's like you can't really gauge who Napoleon really is other than that the fact that he like wants to have sex and also take over the world kind of, but like you don't really get enough like dialogue or like inner monologue to like gauge his motivations or anything of that nature. So it felt like more like one of those things kind of like Oppenheimer where it's just like going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing to thing because it's trying to cover everything in a 3-hour span. But it was more or less just kind of like whatever. Sully, thank you for the tenses. We can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to build the world's first bionic man. Joel will be that man. We can make him better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster. I'm fast as fuck, boy. I'm fast as fuck, boy. Phone's gonna die. Best character development in book series, The Coiling Dragon. Interesting. Why do you say that? Yeah, that's true about Batman too. Because I don't know, the character of Batman with Christian Bale, even though I will say was good. Like you kind of got a little bit about his character when he was a kid in the first. I almost feel like you got everything in the first movie a little bit, where he was a kid, goes through the death of his parents, and then he joins the ninja clan and that kind of thing. And you almost felt like he had like, you learn more about his character then. But then like later when he becomes, they like have various parts where he is like Bruce Wayne, and he kind of has to put on his American Psycho smile, and you know. And maybe that's how Bruce Wayne presented himself, but I don't know. After my brain has been like tainted by the you know, animated series with what's his name, something Conrad or whatever, who rests in peace. He passed away. Kevin Conrad, great iconic voice of Batman, for God's sake, so good. Yeah, it's hard to compare in my mind, I guess. You the guy who made the 2-sentence horror story, am I tripping? Yeah, we do have that on the channel. That was animated by Axeman Cartoons. I just did some voices for the animation. I'm not getting a table at Dorsia. Was there ever a point in Batman's history of showing him as a teenager? It's straight from kid to adult. That's true. It's like a Jesus story. Like when Jesus was a kid, you know, sort of teaching the rabbis or whatever, then all of a sudden now he's doing, you know, magic. And yeah, you would that's a good point. Like what did Batman do from kid to, because at some point he goes wayward and joins the ninja clan or whatever they were called. But you presume like he would have some, that's kind of seems like an untapped market. Young Batman, have they done that? Alden then caught an overnight train back up to Tennessee. then caught another to Bean Station, arriving back in town just hours after Willa May did. But while she was up in that hotel room, dreaming of life married to Silas, Alden was back home, reading that both... Wait, sorry, Britt. Did you leave a message and then it didn't put it? It might have... I don't see it, because you're saying it's about Bruce as a young kid. It's awesome. Oh, David Lynch says there's tons and tons of different comic storylines. Just because it hasn't been in the movie doesn't mean it hasn't been done. We don't need any more movies. That's true. I'm not super familiar with the comics. Man, I got shit in my fucking lungs. It sucks. I need to do cardio. Watch Gotham, the TV show. Okay, yeah, I guess that would make sense, huh? Should have wiped better. Yeah, I got poop in my throat. Well, it's just annoying because it's like I had like the fluid, like a very limited fluid in the lungs, and which kind of had me nervous. I was like, wait, did the HGA did the peptide cause fluid retention? I was checking my blood pressure. It was good, normal. But I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's just sort of like a mild allergic reaction, because I could see that too. But and maybe there's just like secretions within the lungs to like help clear things out. But because I've been like coughing and stuff, it's just like created irritation. I don't know. We'll see. Harley Quinn down on your entire side. Oh, that's sick. Next Superman movie tells his origin. Right, yeah, I don't even know. I'm so sick of like the resetting of like superhero stuff. Like, I get it. Like, you kind of need to do it every 10 years. But, it's really at this point, in my mind, very hard to replace a lot of what has already been there for a while. And I suppose like sometimes there's different adaptations, but it's very oversaturated and I just don't care. Anyone like Lego Batman? Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, it's gonna like make me age really fast. You PR'd? What'd you get, Gran? What lift were you doing? I know. I mean, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Hollywood anymore. It's like they just get the same bullshit. It's like, at least with video games and stuff, sometimes you can get like indie games that like, aren't polluted by mainstream bullshit and, all of that type of like top-down funding process that kind of ruins the original perspective or the original vision. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not looking enough within film. Maybe I should be looking for more, like, there's got to be good indie films at this point, Even if it's just, like, scenes. Like, we have so much technology to make good film with limited budget. I don't know. Like, it's weird for me, like, the new Avatar 2 or whatever. Like, it was fine. I was watching that in the hotel room at one point. But I just did not give a fuck, you know what I mean? And I think to myself, and I'm like, the water looked pretty, everything looked pretty, but I'm just like, I don't know, pretty just doesn't matter that much, I don't know. And maybe in his mind, maybe in whoever made that one, was it Christopher? No, I forget. Maybe in his mind, that's like he was trying to be, recreate that cash cow. Which might feel good, obviously, to anybody, but at the same time, like, to think about how much money went into the budget. Yeah, James Cameron, sorry. It's just, I don't know, it just seems like a colossal waste of effort. We need new universes, new characters. Yeah, exactly. They should be starting to think about, like, down the line stuff, because I mean, we're already past... You remember when, like, zombies were cool back in, like, I don't know, 2008 to 2012 era or something? And then very shortly in that period of time, like, zombies became sort of... Like, they're still cool, but they became, like, so saturated that there was no way to really do much new shit for them, per se. And so that kind of zombie stuff, like, faded out of the limelight. And it just seems like Hollywood is, like, refusing to change anything or try anything new or whatever, which granted it might all just come from funding or whatever, or like not being able to get the funding necessary. But there's got to be a way. Yeah. Walking Dead. Real zombies. Yeah, Star Wars. I mean, everything I see about the Acolyte is like a fucking joke, you know? Regardless of whatever you think, it's like the writing is just like written by like a stinky poop head, you know? Just can't even keep the contradictions straight. Can't even like think of... I mean, dude, there are geniuses that exist on internet forums all over the world who, you know, obsess over that kind of stuff and probably write better fan fiction. You could pay them $35 and put their name in the credits at the way bottom, and they would jizz their fucking pants to like write you an entire show. But I just don't know how we end up at this point. You know what I mean? Like, how do we... I don't know. They're like, just get a nerd. Get a fucking nerd to do it. Where's the nerds? Where's the mildly intelligent nerds? But while she was up in that hotel room, dreaming of life married to Silas, Alden was back home, reading the Both Barrels letter that she'd written just the night before. The only trouble was, and under the assumption her husband wouldn't return for a full 11 days, Willa May told him exactly what she and his brother were planning to do, along with exactly when she was planning to do it. Because, after all, why not? By the time he read it, she and Silas would be safely in California, a detail she'd completely omitted from her letter. Alden lifted his brother's felt jacket, showing the gun tucked in his breeches, and told her he'd spare her life if she rode to his brother's house with him for a heartfelt apology. Alden gave his wife's bags to a wagon courier and arranged for their delivery back home. He then pulled her atop his horse, and then both rode out to Silas's home. On the approach, when her lover's home came into view, Willa May tried jumping from her husband's horse. She didn't want to see what she'd brought her. She didn't want to see what he'd... My bad. Your brother keeps keeping up with a new piece of slop is gonna... Wait. Yeah, why bother keeping up when a new piece of slop is gonna be released in a month? They want your eyes, so they release as much as possible. Quality be damned. Yeah, and I think like the overproduction to keep up with like the streaming demand, you know, there's just not as much demand, and it's not like generating new streamers or new, you know, subscribers. So you would think that like the money would dry up eventually, but it really just does not seem... Maybe we're finally reaching a pinnacle where like the consumer, and it's like just absolute... I think because we're reaching at a very strange like sense of like apathy. Like, I am just absolutely apathetic towards... I used to be angry. I used to feel anger towards shows that were just, like, cringe and stupid and trying to push, you know, their ideological views on you, and it would just, like, take you out of the experience, you know, and that was stupid. But now I just don't care. You see it so many times that you're just like, whatever. This is another pile of poopy, you know. You can go watch your poopy. I'm gonna go participate in the thing that I've kind of enjoy elsewhere, you know. It's whatever. You let Joel down TV shows. Yeah, don't you want to turn my brain to fucking mush like my parents promised me? She didn't want to see what he'd brought her to see. She screamed, cried, and bucked, but Alden was stronger. He dragged her to the yard outside his brother's home, then forced his hysterical wife to gaze upon the body of her lover as it hung by the neck from the beams of his porch. Before he let Willa May go, Alden told her, "Go, and remember you did this, not me." He then rode back into Bean Station and handed himself. Before he let Willa May go, Alden told her, "Go, and remember, you did this, not me." He then rode back into Bean Station and handed himself in to the sheriff. Alden told deputies exactly where they could find his brother's body, and that since Silas was orphaned and unmarried, there was no one they needed to inform. But when the deputies went to collect, it was gone, and there was no sign of Willa May. The lady herself was never seen again, and Silas Martin's body remained missing until the night after his brother's hanging, when someone abandoned a cart in front of the sheriff's office. The next morning, someone pulled back a sheet to see what it contained and saw Silas Martin's body lying there, embalmed and pristine, with a wedding band wrapped around one of his cold, dead fingers. Apathy is more punishing than anger, to be honest. Yeah, I guess like in a weird way, it's like sometimes you get addicted to anger, you know? You almost get addicted to hating. You get addicted to like looking forward to how much something sucks. You get addicted to bitching and moaning, you know what I mean? You get addicted to just like being in a constant state of dissatisfied. But then whenever that loses any sort of feeling, you know, I don't know, whatever chemical usually is released on both spectrums of pleasure and pain, they just get nothingness. Hey, thanks, Gab. Good to see you. Anger rots the soul. True. You played Deep Rock Galactic? I forgot if yeah, I have. Yeah, it's a fun game. I remember I was always very impressed with like the ability to create like those different tracks and stuff. Because I always and just like also digging through the rock always looked really cool as well. And the combat felt pretty satisfying. There was a lot of good stuff about Deep Rock Galactic, honestly. But I liked making like little sort of roller coaster rides with those like tracks. He's probably been asked this many times, but I wonder if Joel has ever read a story that gave him nightmares. No, honestly, I don't know. I feel like in a weird way I'm sort of apathetic towards scary stories. Like being scared, I don't really get. Like I get scared. Actually, ghosts scare me. But that's just like for me laying in bed and I'm like, oh man, it's creepy in here right now. And then my imagination is, I guess, what leads me in a weird direction. But, you know, as far as just like reading, like I thought it would be true crimes. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, or like people's experiences and stuff. I'm like, I guess I'll keep my head on a swivel. But never really takes my mind anywhere dark. Or too dark, I suppose. Eric, thank you for the 5. Says, thank you, Joel, for all you do and share with all of us here on this amazing channel. I love all these awesome live streams each week. Much appreciation. You're welcome, Eric. Thank you. Good to see you. Am I scared of bills? Not anymore. I feel pretty comfortable, honestly, but bills are annoying. I'm scared more of taxes. Just how, like, what annoys me about taxes is just how inefficient all of it is. You know what I mean? Like, you got local, local, federal, state, and then you got the school tax and the fucking property tax, and you know, all of it is something that like you got to keep up on. You got to like look out for it. You got to go look it up. You got to go calculate it. It's just like, fuck you guys. You're like the laziest mafia of all time. It's like you know, if I don't pay it, I get arrested. But you can't do any work to like make the experience like mildly more convenient for me to like hand over all my shit for you to funnel to Ukraine. I don't know. Where are you gonna take it? You're going to build a road and then tear it apart and then build it again and tear it apart and build it again. And just fucking send that back and forth between your favorite construction company. Fuck you. Dude, imagine being the construction company that gets government contracts and every fucking year the sun comes out and they're like, all right, rip the whole fucking road apart. We gotta do it again. It's like, have they not invented super asphalt yet? We're super asphalt. Like, I get it that normal asphalt, like, you put it down, it fucking solidifies real fast. But where's like the really fucking like good shit from, you know, the Wolfenstein universe? How have we not reached that point yet? Yeah, they just never, like, it's weird. And then they'll get a fiction like, whoa, the road's kind of nice here. I didn't actually expect them to do a job well. And then within a short period of time, or like you get to next year and you're like, why did they rip it up? Why is that like a fucking sinkhole there? They made that. That's not from Earth. They made that sinkhole. Why are there like graves? Why did they dig up bodies out of the ground? What the hell were they doing? Now it's haunted. Now the whole fucking road's haunted. Because it's cheaper. Well, yeah, it's not cheaper in the long run, I guess. Therein lies a fundamental misunderstanding of the world and what you say. The complexity of taxes comes from the fact that capitalism has allowed for multiple tax companies who need the process to be complex so they can drive in customers. The complexity of taxes comes from the fact that capitalism has allowed for multiple tax companies who need, would it be tax companies as in like the government, like the IRS? They need it to be complicated so they can drive in customers. Or are you talking about like TurboTax, or what are you talking about? You're talking about H&R Block is making everything complex? What are we talking about here? Move the headstones. You forgot that body. The regions surrounding the fabled Appalachian Mountains are home to some fascinating but often macabre myths and legends. Many are already familiar with the likes of the Mothman, the red-eyed harbinger of doom who lurks at the locations of impending disasters, or the Flatwoods Monster, who many believe is an example of extraterrestrial visitation. Yet fewer are familiar with another Appalachian legend, which, after some research, might just be rooted in a very unsettling truth. In certain parts of southern and eastern Appalachia, some folk still talk of an eerie, nocturnal race of imp-like humanoids known as the Moon-Eyed People. The Moon-Eyed People are said to be around 4 foot high with pale, ghostly bodies and large, slightly bulbous eyes. They're mostly harmless and only ever come out at night due to their general fear of humanity. But go walking on the trails where the moon is big and bright and you might just spot a moon-eyed person bathed in silvery light. To most, the Moon-Eyed People sound like nothing but a quaint rural folktale, but like many so-called myths and legends, there can be varying degrees of truths to them. I'm going to read that one again. We're going to start the whole thing over again. Customers. Skeletons in the pool seem real. It's a medical prop. Mole people cryptid video when? Question mark. Are you guys all mole people? And that's why you don't want to send any scary stories in about yourself, because you're afraid how my mole people video is going to represent you? Listen, guys. This is a judgment-free zone. You can send in all the mole folk, people of the mole experiences as you'd like. People of the hole. People of the ground. Grounded folk. Crab people. You live near Appalachia, and I'm terrified of the Appalachian bush at night. Yeah, scary stuff. My books are very high detail. It's more visceral that way. Yeah, I think you're really going to gain most of your enjoyment probably from reading, because your imagination can take you so many other places that it's very difficult for a movie to do. He meant that companies like TurboTax are in cahoots with the government through activities like lobbying, so taxes are purposely obscure in exchange for donations. Yeah, I would love to see like a little documentary about that. I believe it, man. I mean, you know, when people talk about capitalism, like obviously that's like, you know, get fucking Pizza Hut, which rocks, you know, but at the same time, then you get, I don't know, some Lockheed Martin or something where they get so incredibly powerful that eventually they put their, you know, previous member of their board of trustees or in some other position of power in government, and then it's like the government is moving in lockstep with these like hyper-capitalistic entities that kind of like slowly just sort of parasitically absorb guaranteed money from the government, subsidize activities and things of that nature that you probably never hear about, I guess. And that's, I guess, the danger. But I just think about like TurboTax, and that would be so funny to do like a deep dive. That's something I could see like a Wendigoon video, doing a deep dive into the evils of TurboTax. When you think of TurboTax, you probably think of a company that wants to help you figure out your tax solutions around April. Little do you realize that in its underbelly, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I wouldn't put it past them to keep it like, but it would be nice, you know what I mean, just to like streamline the process. But I guess at the end of the day, it might also benefit the government in like a weird way to keep things complex, both, yeah, to drive finances that way, but also like if you were someone who's like independent and you fuck up your taxes a little bit, not cross a T or dot an I, they can kind of use that against you in court should you become some sort of dissonant that cannot be trusted. He's a national security threat. Sir, he forgot to cross his lowercase t. I think the economy should function like a human body. If someone commits an act of greed, then they get squeezed out like a human squeezes out a virus. That sounds complicated. Are you going to be the squeezer? Are you going to go around and deem people greedy? You look greedy! Like, why? And they're like, I saw you take too much sauce packets from Taco Bell. Time to be squeezed out of society, you fucking parasite. To most, the Moon-Eyed Peoples sound like nothing but a quaint rural folktale. But like many so-called myths and legends, there can be varying degrees of truth to them, and in the case of nocturnal gnomes, that degree of truth might be very large indeed. Prior to the removal of 1838, North Georgia and other parts of the Appalachians were still part of the Cherokee Nation, and in 1782, the region's governor was a man named John Damn it. Right at the end, too. He took all the fire sauces. Prepare to die. Prepare to die, capitalist. Scum. I saw a funny tweet the other day where it was like, something like, isn't it crazy that I'm the only one that knows how everyone everywhere should do everything? Souvier, okay. Yoda voice. Yes. Yes, you may. You may. Oh, see you, Manny. Take care. You want to rule the world? Yeah, but it's just, you can't, you know? It's not like anybody gives it to you. You would have to, like, do a lot of bad things to get where you want to go, you know? It's like even the people that are in positions of power that have come from generations and generations of their families doing bad things, it's like they still got to do a lot of bad things to kind of keep everything just like in check at all times, you know? I guess that's kind of wildly ambiguous, to be honest with you, but that being said, it's like there's a degree of fear once you reach the top. You know, once you have that power at the top, there's a nonstop sense of fear that it could be taken from you, so that it almost incentivizes you to like enact, you know, negative things upon those below you just to keep them in squalor. Making a remake of The People Under the Stairs. Is that a horror movie? Just sitting there. What is your current resting BPM? Alright, let's look. We can measure it. A little clock. Oh, wait. I just need like a little clock. Or maybe actual clock. I typed lock. Little cock. No! No! Clock tab. Alright. Let's get it. So 84 would be my resting. Oh, that's not good, is it? Because it's 21 and 15 seconds. That's not very good. That doesn't seem right, though. Now you got me upset. Now you got me. I feel like I need to check it with my actual little blood pressure cuff. Alright, hang loose, everyone. This is a medical emergency. Alright.
Please remain seated and refrain from talking.
Alright, nobody make me laugh or scream.
At the heart level.
Goose foba. Goose. Yeah, I'm taking my heroin. This is, now that you bring that up, this is a perfect time for me to shoot up and get a little reset. The cartels are fascinating. You should go interview them. You certainly seem to be... Oh. Well, it's just like 84 seemed kind of like high. You know what I mean? For like a resting heartbeat, it's not bad. But like I'm kind of used to my resting heartbeat being in like the 60s. So I feel like I must have counted kind of strange. But maybe I'm just so excited. Just so excited to hang out with you guys. Can I read from 10 feet away? I'm actually doing pretty good from this far away. I don't know how. I'm like zooming in with my eyes.
Your blood pressure is systolic 110 millimeter of mercury, diastolic 68 millimeter of mercury. Your pulse was 75. Your blood pressure is normal.
You're going to die. We found something in your ass. What? How did you do that? 75, that's not bad. And the blood pressure is normal. I used to jog so much, dude. I used to love going on long runs and stuff. Now well, it's not that I hate it. It's just like, after you exercise like one time a day, like lifting, which I really enjoy lifting, the last thing I want to fucking do is go fucking run. I mean, 75 is normal, right? Must be nice to have low numbers. Yeah, I mean, it used to be like, I'm having a heart attack. Active off days. Yeah, I guess I could. I know, dude. Sometimes you just don't want to give a flying hoot. Yeah, get the AED ready and a pacemaker. Clear. The prior to the removal of 18. Prior to the removal of 1838, North Georgia and other parts of the Appalachians were still part of the Cherokee Nation. Oh, the removal of... Okay, I see. Prior to the removal of 1838, North Georgia and other parts of the Appalachians were still part of the Cherokee Nation, and in 1782, the region's governor was a man named John Sevier. Damn it, I forget. That was the whole point of looking that up. Sevier. Prior to the removal of 1838, North Georgia and other parts of the Appalachians were still part of the Cherokee Nation, and in 1782, the region's governor was a man named John Sevier. That same year, Sevier paid a visit to the Cherokee chief Okonostota at Fort... Oh, God, that probably was not going to get that correct on the first go there. Okonostota. Well, that looks kind of correct. The AI chat summary, yeah, what's it say? You should paste it into the chat. That same year, Sevier paid a visit to the Cherokee chief Okonostota at Fort Mountain, who had recently reached the ripe old age of 90 years old. Given his status as the region's governor, Sevier and Okonostota dedicated a great deal of their discussion to local politics. Sevier sought the old chief's wisdom, yet he also sought his experience, and before long, the conversation turned to history. Sevier and Okonostota began discussing the origins of the Cherokee, with the old chief describing how his people had migrated to Appalachia from the northern Great Lakes region. Okonostota claimed his ancestors had arrived to find another people had settled the area, a people so sophisticated that they turned the mountain into a veritable fortress, hence why it was given the name. The Cherokee fought hard to conquer the indigenous tribe, but eventually they prevailed and drove their enemy from the region before settling it themselves. Sevier then asked the old chief if he knew anything of the vanquished tribe. What he was told shocked him deeply. Chief Okonostota's forefathers told him that those who had occupied Fort Mountain before the Cherokee were, and I quote, white men from across the Great Sea. The chief went on to describe how these moon-eyed people earned their name. Not only did they have huge disc-like eyes, much larger than any humans, but they evolved to be viciously effective nocturnal hunters with natural night vision so strong that it struck fear into the hearts of the Cherokee, who didn't dare venture away from their camps after dark. Governor Sevier, am I saying that right? I already forgot. Sevier? I gotta sneeze. Coffee Cat, welcome, my friend, to the Buttersaw Cult. And Samir, welcome back for 6 months. 6 months, woo! Thank you. Half a year. That blew by pretty quick. Damn. Every time I sneeze, I feel like it kind of throws me off there a little bit. A soup-flavored gum. That would actually be kind of good. Like a salty, like a gum you could chew that gets like really salty. How does that not exist, actually? I feel like that would be great for like, if you could somehow make it work. To like keep you hydrated, maybe, with no water out in the woods. Hey, Hootie, welcome back for 31 months. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Hootie. Thank you. That's a long time. It's crazy, guys. Too long. Too dang long. Wiz, thank you, thank you. All right. But they evolved to be viciously effective nocturnal hunters, with natural night vision so strong that it struck fear into the hearts of the Cherokee, who didn't dare venture away from their camps after dark. Governor Sevier, wow, if I talk too long I just forget how to say it. Sevier. Governor Sevier was stunned and assumed that these Caucasoid tribespeople were merely the stuff of legend, yet Chief Okonostoda assured him that his account was no mere myth. Sevier promised to return the following spring and in the company of a historian, so that the chief's account could be officially recorded. Yet sadly, when Sevier returned in the spring of 1783, he discovered that the elderly chief had passed away. Despite Chief Okonostoda's death, rumors of the Moon-Eyed People did not abate. In fact, almost every band of Appalachian Cherokee were familiar with the legends, so much so that it attracted the attention of a man named Benjamin Smith Barton. Born in 1766 in the British colony of Pennsylvania, Dr. Barton was one of the early United States' most prominent physicians. He studied at the Philadelphia School of Medicine, but also at Scotland's University of Edinburgh and Germany's University of Göttingen. Edinburgh. Isn't it Edinburgh? Edinburgh. Göttingen. Göttingen. Okay. You have to update your schedule in the description. Yeah, where's that at? Let me do that right quick. Title. Is it the title? Probably not the title. It is. Oh, yeah. Jeez, thank you. Jeez. That's funny. Usually Sunday and Wednesday nights. Anything else? I got my Twitter updated and category comedy. All right. Welcome back, Roxy. He'd studied at the Philadelphia School of Medicine, but also at Scotland University. Damn it, man. He'd studied at the Philadelphia School of Medicine, but also at Scotland's University of Edinburgh and Germany's University of Göttingen. Oh my God. How do I not remember when Göttingen. He'd studied at the Philadelphia School of Medicine, but also at Scotland's University of Edinburgh and Germany's University of Göttingen. He was also such a famous and well-respected figure that he'd received honorary diplomas from both the Lisbon Academy and Kiel University. At one time, Dr. Barton specialized in botany, and after corresponding with naturalists throughout the United States and Europe, he published the first American textbook on the subject. Yet around the end of the 18th century, Barton became fascinated with the subject of anthropology and more specifically, the origins of humanity. After many years of study, Dr. Barton published his 1797 book, New Views of the Origin of the Tribes and Nations of America. The book includes excerpts of an interview with a U.S. Army colonel named Leonard Marbury. Fluent in the Cherokee language, Colonel Marbury acted as an intermediary between the government and the natives for the better part of 20 years, and in that time had heard many a story regarding the so-called Moon-Eyed People. The Cherokee tell us that when they first arrived in the country which they inhabit, they found it possessed by a certain Moon-Eyed People, Colonel Marbury explained. These wretched people could not see in the daytime, and were expelled following a brief but bloody war. At first, Dr. Barton theorized that there had been some kind of miscommunication, and that these pale, moon-eyed people were not some previously undiscovered race of stunted humanoids, but rather a collection of French settlers. The Cherokee had sometimes described the moon-eyed people as possessing what they described as alien or unfamiliar weaponry. Yet when Dr. Barton interviewed one frequent visitor to the Cherokee, he claimed these alien weapons were little more than hoses. Whoops. Yet, when Dr. Barton interviewed on frequent he claimed that these weapons... What's up, Audrey? Oh, man. Don't forget the conditioner. Sniff coke now, huh? I wish, dude. I sneezed one time and, I don't know, just got the sniffles. I promise. Fenton my coke, yeah. I'm done for. That is one thing to be thankful for every day, that you're not addicted to fentanyl. Far too many a YouTuber has gone out that way as of late. Yet when Dr. Barton interviewed one frequent visitor to the Cherokee, he claimed these alien weapons were little more than hoes, axes, guns, and other metallic utensils that had been brought to the New World by the French. Many others have supported this assertion, claiming the Moon-Eyed People were no more than rogue European settlers who specialized in hunting by night rather than by day. Yet when South Carolina historian B.R. Carroll interviewed merchant explorer James Adair, he refuted any and all claims that the Moon-Eyed People were European. Born in the Irish country of Antrim in 1709, Adair sailed to the New World with a British trade mission at the age of 20. The Divine Liturgy? What's that? You know what's been kind of fun about playing Animal Well? Is that there's so many like little, I guess like secret details that sometimes like figuring out a puzzle or some sort of secret almost feels like the same way that someone must have felt like figuring out how to like get the missing no in Pokemon when you sail up and down Cinnabar Island. Who the fuck figured that shit out, bro? Do you remember that? I used to do that all the time to get like infinite rare candies. It was like you had to put rare candies in the 6th slot of your item thing, and then you had to go talk to the guy in, what was it, Virgin Town? Or wherever the Team Rocket guy is, and he's like the 8th gym or some shit like that. Then after you talk to him, you fly to Cinnabar Island, and then you immediately surf up and down the coast of the island. Like what the likelihood of figuring that out? The likelihood of figuring that out is just so incredibly weird and abstract and rare. I don't know, man. That was a design oversight on the developer's part, for sure. But like, how did someone find that oversight? Like, how would the developers have ever found that oversight? Like, to have an item there, to talk to that guy, to fly to, so-and-so. Like, unless it like randomly happened to them, they looked in their like, or they fought a missing no, killed it or something, and then checked their items and all of a sudden had an infinite candy. I don't know. It just seems so random. Imagine what other shit like existed in that game. Yeah, and we all fell for the Mew under the truck. Dude, I wish that had some significance. My friend had me so convinced that if I had a Machoke or a Machamp, and Machamp you think you needed to evolve by using like the cords between the two Game Boys. If I had a Machamp that was a level 100 and had the HM strength, HM7 I think, that then you could push that thing out of the way. I don't know, man, like that. And then to like get there and to like not have it happen was like the most disappointing experience of all time. There's also a Mew glitch that still works in Gen 1. Really? What's the Mew glitch? Oh, you can be mental? Hell yeah. Say whatever crazy shit you want in here. I don't care. Oh, it's HM2 or 4. Oh, that's right. Yeah, what was HM7? Was that Flash? It's about Pokemon. It's funny. Perfect timing. Born in the Irish county of Antrim in 1709, Adair sailed to the New World with a British trade mission at the age of 26. He spent the next 40 years living among the natives, chiefly among the Chickasaw and eastern Choctaw, while being almost entirely cut off from the outside world. In 1775, when Adair was in his 60s, he was encouraged to pen an account of his experiences with the native tribes, titling the book A History of the American Indians. The book cemented Adair's status as one of the most knowledgeable Indian experts of his generation, hence why he was sought out by Arthur.
Dang it, Arthur, we need to know about your experiences with the natives.
Anyone watch Evo? What's Evo? Is that anime?
Tahiti.
You got the best voice of all the spooky, scary story channels. Thank you, Swimming Bird. Thank you for the 5. Very kind. Very kind. Mew would pop up in a fight as some kind of blur, and you couldn't see it. Couldn't see it was Mew until you caught it. Okay. Yeah, wasn't it like Ditto? Couldn't you like catch a Ditto or something and then turn it into like whatever you wanted it to be or something? Oh yeah, if you like fought it with a Ditto, changed it to Mew. I don't even know. The book cemented Adair's status as one of the most knowledgeable Indian experts of his generation, hence why he was sought out by the author B.R. Carroll, and when asked if he was familiar with the so-called moon-eyed people, he replied in the affirmative. Adair claimed that almost all of the Appalachian tribes had stories concerning this primordial race of albino humanoids, but it was not the frequency with which he encountered these stories that convinced Adair of their veracity. It was the consistency with which they were described. Each and every tribe spoke of the moon-eyed people being stunted, nocturnal, and incredibly pale. And what's more, most tribes agreed that the cause of their malformation was that they chose to live underground. Scientifically speaking, the moon-eyed people's wide-eyed physiognomy? Is this even a word? Or physiognomy? Bibijabadabadi, hibidabadibadizi, hijijaji, He's dabba dabba doo dabba dee zibba da. Oh, with the G, yeah, physiognomy. It's got that silent G in there, silent G. Evo is basically fighting game worlds for games like Street Fighter 6, Teller, Grand Blue, etc. Street Fighter 6 Grand Finale was crazy. It's basically fighting game worlds for game. Like a tournament. That's cool. Dude, I love fighting game tournaments are amazing. I love whenever like I don't know, there's like some sort of drama between the two people. That makes it so funny. Lovecraft probably stole the folklore. Teehee. You know, maybe. But the idea of like, 'cause there's so much shit within like the Lovecraftian, world. What do they call that? Not necessarily the Necronomicon, but his index of information or whatever. It feels so unique that so many people borrow from him. This idea of like something from outside of our planet, the colossal unknown, the idea of like an octopus god thing, Yeah, it's like lore, but I was thinking of another word. I forget what it's called, but it's basically like lore. Saved you from much sin. Yeah, sometimes your shyness can keep you away from things that you consider. Yeah, mythos. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, I think growing up, like, there was a lot of things because I was involved pretty heavily in like religion and all that kind of stuff. Even though I kind of got away from it now, but at least in that sort of, back when you're younger and you're looking for identity and that kind of thing, there were a lot of things that like I do wonder where my mind would have been pulled if I didn't have that sort of like structure to keep me away from certain activities, whether it be like, developing like drug habits or alcohol or whatever, or like hanging with certain people that ended up, because I have had like people that I used to consider like best friends, but then I kind of got away from them, like OD on heroin and that kind of thing. And that shit's pretty fucked up to hear later on. And you're like, damn, could have been me. Lovecraft wrote his own extended universe, but there are a few native stories that might have been inspired from IRL lore. That's I'm curious actually. I wonder chat. I'm sure there's got to be info on like things that people have pieced together over their obsession with him over the years. Maybe ask ChatGPT, they might know. Did Lovecraft pull any lore from Native American lore? H.P. Lovecraft, known for his creation of cosmic horror and the Cthulhu mythos, did occasionally incorporate elements inspired by Native American lore into his stories. However, his use of Native American themes were often filtered through his unique lens of cosmic horror and was not a direct borrowing of Native American myths and legends. One notable example is his story, The Lurking Fear, where he references Native American legends about ancient creatures and spirits inhabiting the landscape. In The Mound, a collaborative story with Zelia Bishop, Lovecraft delves deeper into the Native American lore, weaving a narrative about a subterranean civilization connected. Holy shit, subterranean? Subterranean. Dude, maybe he did. Maybe this is like heavily connected. Subterranean civilization connected to Native American myths. Despite these instances, Lovecraft's approach to Native American lore was not always accurate or respectful, as he tended to reinterpret or repurpose these elements to fit his own narrative style and thematic concerns. His works are often criticized for their cultural insensitivity and the problematic way he handled various cultural references. And he was tickled until he was dead. But that's cool, like the subterranean concept, because we're hearing that now with these like Moon Knight people, and we know that it's like pretty clear. Oh, dude, Appalachian Cherokee lore, and guess where fucking Lovecraft was from? Well, like towards was it Massachusetts or was he Maine? But the point is, East Coast, near the he probably would have heard of like rumblings of the Appalachian, folk tales and stuff like that. The Appalachian Trail. Almost everywhere in my bed, and you're the real goat of scary stories. All love. Thank you, Squeezy. Good to see you. So was this word physiognomy? Jeering physiognomy. Oh, he said it wrong. That's so funny. Imagine if a British person walked up to you and said, you had a bit of a jeering physiognomy. I'd be so hurt. I'd be so busted. More busted than my jeering physiognomy face. Jorge, welcome back for 2 months. What's good, homie? What is good? Not much. Just having a good time. We're almost done with story 3. But thank you for 2 months. Scientifically speaking, the moon-eyed people's wide-eyed physiognomy is entirely consistent with an offshoot of humanity having taken to living underground, especially if they've done so for thousands upon thousands of years. And while this all might sound like the stuff of science fiction, it is firmly rooted in truth. Back in 2003, a team comprised of local and Australian archaeologists began excavating an Indonesian cave known as Lai Bia. Let's get that right. Lang Bio. Well, that's good. How you say Lang Bio? So the soft L followed by a combination of Li as in C and Leong without a pronunciation. Leong Bua. Leong Bua. Back in 2003, a team comprised of local and Australian archaeologists began excavating in an Indonesian cave known as Leong Bua, in the hopes of uncovering pre-modern human remains. 2 years later, the team was undertaking a routine dig when they discovered evidence of a human skull. When a section of this skull was sent away for analysis, an Indonesian scientist believed that, due to its relatively small dimensions, the skull must have belonged to a child. Yet after more of the person's skull was uncovered and analyzed, it was discovered that their teeth were that of a full-grown adult. The remains they discovered were not those of a Homo sapien. They belonged to a previously undiscovered relative, Homo floresiensis. Okay. Homo floresiensis. Oh, they actually have it. Let's go. Homo floresiensis. Have you done Ozempic, or are you just naturally built like that? No Ozempic, no. And yeah, I'm not. That's all you need to know. 300, what is it? 300 billion ads. Holy shit. Mid-story. 300 billion ad reads. This story is brought to BetterHelp. This story is brought by Dollar Shave Club. This story is brought to you by Big Black Dildo. Homo floresiensis. No, Homo floresiensis. The remains they discovered were not those of a Homo sapien. They belonged to a previously undiscovered relative, Homo floresiensis, named after the island of I don't even know how to say that one, even though I do. Flores. Is it just Flores? Flores. 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 Yo, Spicy, what's good? Welcome, welcome. Am I yoked? I like to lift heavy, you know what I mean, which has its like benefits to growth of muscle and stuff like that, but it is kind of, you know what I mean, you look at your body all the time and we can always look a little better. Do I like candles? Yeah, I love candles. There was a period of time where I wanted to do a candle club, where like once a month they send you a box of candles. Yes, I'm 436 pounds. Jacked. You eat candles. They are tasty. But yeah, just I don't know, just the smell and all that kind of stuff. It just makes your room and your house or wherever just like that much more cozier and nicer when people walk in. Yeah, and you can eat it too. My measurements. 250 likes, yes, please click that likey like button. We gotta like after I went to Australia, I lost all my viewers. Named after the island of Flores, on which they were found, Homo florensiensis were determined to be an extinct species of small archaic human that inhabited the island until the arrival of modern humans about 50,000 years ago. The remains found in the Liang... Mother frick. How do you say this? Liang Bua. The remains found in the Liang Bua cave belonged to an adult female, believed to have stood at 3 foot 7 inches tall, which earned her the nickname the Little Lady of Flores. If the Cherokee did indeed migrate to Appalachia around 12,000 years ago, which is when the last of the Flores Hobbit people are believed to have died out, it's frighteningly feasible that they encountered a prehistoric race of subhuman cave dwellers against whom they waged a terrible and ultimately genocidal war. But then again, how could the Cherokee be so certain that every last one of the moon-eyed people were extinct? Perhaps they simply took shelter in the deepest recesses of their subterranean settlements and became even more cautious following the arrival of European settlers. Maybe the stories of stunted, ethereal-looking beings roaming the Appalachian Trail aren't just stories, but rather an aspect of ancient anthropology that we have yet to fully explain. After all, if the Little Lady of Flores and her kin were only discovered in 2003, what else has mankind yet to discover regarding our ancient and mysterious origins? The descent, oh yeah. Imagine that. Like, imagine like those descent creatures, but they're not like normal human sizes. They're just like little hobbit people, like trying to eat your skin. Would rather be immodest? What are you talking about? I'm just a Tamagotchi. You gotta feed me at least 10 times a day and clean up my shit. I remember like having one of those like Digimon back in the day. It was like the greatest thing ever. It was just like so conveniently right there. And would it be modest or immodest? I'd rather be modest, I guess. I guess I've always been trying to be modest, you know. But I don't remember what I was talking about. Fuck. Where the things come out of the vents of the house and attack their family because they want to eat their teeth? No, what is that? Cheers. Oh yeah, the Digimon. Yeah, I remember like having it and like just in the middle of the night it would make like noises too. It'd be like meh, 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 which is so stupid, dude. Like in the middle of the night that thing is like screaming, you know, hanging off a keychain on your kid's backpack. And then you would go and look at it, and it would be like 3 to 6 piles of shit. And if you don't clean the poop up within the night, the thing dies. And the whole point of it is to like get to like a certain level where it's like real huge. And I had friends that were like had massive ones that they've been keeping alive for a while. I feel like mine never made it past the first night because I would make it eat its own shit. Do I like reading, or does it feel like a job? Well, I don't read in my free time, really. I mean, I'll listen to things. I wish I was, like, really got into, like, reading when I was younger and just enjoyed laying down and just staring at something. But I feel like, you know, it's much easier to listen to an audiobook and, like, do something else, whereas if I lay and read, it, like, I don't know, I just feel like my brain gets so drained and I want to fall asleep. Do you ever want to meet someone you like, but you like them too much you feel physically sick to try and do it? Just do it, you know what I mean? Don't waste too much time thinking about it. Oh, there's a bug. What's this bug doing here? Looks like a nice one. Ah! Fuck! That was weird. I like put my finger near it, and then like instead of like it crawling on my finger, it like jumped to my hand. I was like, ah! Give me a bit of a spook. Nursing or radiology? Well, radiology is chiller. Like you just kind of go through the motions over and over again, whereas nursing pays a little more, but is more of a pain in the ass. But it does have more versatility with where you can get a job and do and all that kind of shit. Soul or body? What do you mean, like to eat? Alright, story 4. Nursing or stripping? Definitely, you can do both at the same time. Especially during nursing school. About 10 years ago, an old college buddy and I had the bright idea of hiking the eastern Tennessee section of the Appalachian Trail. We weren't too hardcore about it or anything. We just took things at our own pace and stopped at grocery stores and diners whenever we could stock up on home. We weren't too hardcore about it or anything. We just took things at our own pace and stopped at grocery stores and diners whenever we could to stock up on home comforts. At one point, we stopped at a town in Hancock County, intending to pick up a few six-packs and maybe a bottle of Jack since we were in his home state. Anyone who's from here... Oh man, my mind is starting to go here tonight. I'm fucking tired. Tiorda. What's up, Charlie? How you doing, big dog? Chastity or OnlyFans? Like a chastity belt? Bud Light or Corona? Oh, man. Well, probably Corona. I don't know. Corona is just like... It's crisper and it has a more unique taste, whereas Bud Light kind of tastes like watered down yeast piss. Like if you were to just like eat yeast and then piss it out into a bottle, that's what Bud Light kind of tastes like. But yeah, Corona just has a certain refreshingness to it, even though it's certainly not good, but at one point, we stopped at a town in Hancock County, intending to pick up a few six-packs and maybe a bottle of Jack since we were in his home state. Anyone who's from there will find that hilarious because they'll know what we didn't walk. God damn it. Anyone who's from there will find that hilarious because they'll know what we didn't walking into town, and that's how there isn't a drop of alcohol. Fuck, man, I am struggling on this story. I like choked on my spit. Oh, man. Oh, I'm tired, bro. Dude, not getting sleep is so stupid. That's how people... dude, my one buddy, he had a kid. I hadn't seen him for like 2 years. He had so many gray hairs. And he told me, like... I mean, like, he's happy, like, loves his kid and stuff, but he said, like, that first 8 months or whatever was, like, feeding a parasite, you know? Like, all it did was scream and cry, and you would feed it, and then it would shit and piss everywhere. But he says it was all worth it, because now it says, like, I love you and wants a hug, which is cool. But, you know, he said, like, he just, like, he felt like it was in, like, a daze, like, laying on the couch, no sleep at all, and just felt like he was going to have a panic attack, like, doing nothing. Just laying on the couch, like, about to have a panic attack. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, I guess, like, being a parent is cool and shit. Like, everybody wants to do that to, like, take their life to the next phase or whatever. And I think it's important to, you know, propagate the species and your genetics and, you know, to feel satisfied deep down in your core to, like, love something unconditionally or whatever. But, my God, I can just tell, like, it ages people, like, quickly. Hancock County, you're talking about, is Indiana. Tennessee, sorry, Eastern Tennessee. Biological need to hump, yeah. It is interesting how it comes so natural to us. At one point, we stopped in a town in Hancock County, intending to pick up a few six-packs and maybe a bottle of Jack since we were in his home state. Anyone who's from there will find that hilarious because they'll know what we didn't walking into town, and that's how there isn't a drop of alcohol for sale in that whole goddamn county. We'd managed to stop in a dry town, meaning we had access to all the snacks but none of the booze. And while we were at the store, the nice lady behind the counter said that we'd have to walk to the next county if we wanted to buy any alcohol. But she also said that if we asked someone real nice, they might be able to pick some up for us if they were already out of town. We asked around town for a while, approaching anyone who looked approachable, but while everyone was real nice, no one was able to help us out. We were just about ready to give up, and we were walking back the way we came when we suddenly see this dude walking out of the general store toward what we assumed was his truck. He looked to be around our age, so maybe 25 to 30, and he sure looked like he enjoyed a drink. So me and my buddy decided to ask him if he could give us a ride or something, and we pick him up a few beers as a thank you. So we walk up, introduce ourselves, and then make our proposal. The guy seems friendly enough and didn't seem too keen on giving us a ride until we mentioned buying him a few drinks out of gratitude. After that, he invited us into his truck, and we took off in the direction of the next county over, which was the home of the nearest liquor store. We were making some small talk with this guy, just about how the hike was going and stuff like that, when we got to talking about how long the ride would be. He said that it'd be about an hour there and back if we wanted to carry on hiking where we'd left off, at which point we'd have lost all of our daylight and finding a place to camp would be a real pain in the butt. We mentioned this to him, and he seemed to have a sort of flash of inspiration. He knew of another place that we could buy booze, but seeing as it wasn't I wonder who decides on, like, an area being a dry county. Like, who decides that shit? Like, let people decide if they want to destroy their bodies and minds. See you, Dana. Have a good nap. He knew of another place we could buy booze, but seeing as it was a dry county, it wasn't strictly legal either. He asked if we were cops, and we laughed when... God damn it, I don't know why there's just like little weird direction with the story that like confuses my mind every time I'm about to read it. He asked if we were cops, and we laughed when we said no. And he then asked if we were okay buying shine instead of just beer. Now at this point I should explain why this got us so excited. By shine, the guy obviously meant moonshine, which was something we talked about at length before we even stepped on the trails. Sipping beers and whiskeys around a campfire was one thing, but getting our hands on some genuine homemade moonshine would just about be the coolest thing ever. If you went to Oktoberfest in Germany, you'd want to have some genuine Weissbrau. Weissbrau. Right? Weissbrau? Whatever. Hey, Archangel, take care, dude. Good to see you. Why do people need alcohol to have fun? They don't. They don't, I guess, you know. I mean, there are some people that get kind of pulled into it where they feel like they can only be fun around others if they do it. It's more of just like a learned experience, you know what I mean? Like, if you ever think about someone going to Hollywood, you know, maybe they only are enjoyed by people or feel like they only have validation based on their ability to like entertain others and what they do and that kind of thing. So it sort of builds a little bit of like a positive feedback loop or whatever, maybe negative feedback loop, whatever you want to call it, to, you know, encourage your mind that like, oh, drinking makes me more outgoing, or drinking makes me, you know, fun with the friends, or I associate it with this and that. And if you're not like real prone to getting sick from it, maybe eventually you're like, I've got the, what I like to call gentleman's ambition, but you're actually an alcoholic and pretty well screwed for life. Mountain Dew is, yeah, dude, imagine Mountain Dew mixed with moonshine. Holy fuck, that'd be so good. Imagine making moonshine with Mountain Dew. Please tell me that exists. If you went to Oktoberfest in Germany, you'd want some genuine Weissbrau to wash down that bratwurst, right? And if you were vacationing on some Caribbean island, anyone in their right mind would couple that with a good, locally made rum. So the fact that we were in the middle of moonshine country, we were just about ready to jump at the chance to enjoy some genuine, locally made liquor, because when in Rome, you know? And that's why when this dude said that he'd drive us over to his buddy's place, a total stranger, to buy moonshine, we just kind of said, okay, cool. Anyway, the guy changed his course a little, and we're totally under the impression that we're going to pull up to some house, we're going to give him some cash, and then he's going to go inside, get us our shine, and then off we go. But then, when we arrived at the place where he was taking us, it didn't look like anyone's house at all. In fact, we recognized what the place was almost instantly. The building itself almost looked like a community center or something. Definitely not a house, and way bigger than most that we'd seen out in those parts, too. But the thing that really clued us in to what we were looking at was the big row of motorcycles outside. My little brother was a big Sons of Anarchy fan at the time, like he had all the box sets and was almost constantly watching it on the big TV downstairs in our house, so right away I knew what I was looking at. We were at a motorcycle club's clubhouse. It was pretty awesome seeing this actual clubhouse right there in front of us, but it was like being at the zoo or something. We were still under the impression that our new friend would just go in and buy the shine for us while we got to sit in the truck. So when he got out of the truck and told us to follow him inside, we both are like, are you sure about that? I'm not going to object to strangers in their clubhouse? But our new friend said no, it'd be fine, and they wouldn't mind at all so long as we were respectful, etc. And so, in we went. And while there wasn't any kind of branding on the outside of the building, the inside was totally different. They had the name of their club everywhere, And while I'm not about to reveal what that was for reasons that'll become obvious, they sure did like their branding. They had all kinds of memorabilia all over the walls, pictures and antiques and stuff, and I mean, it'd be pretty cool of an experience walking into a bar like that if it wasn't for the record scratch moment when we walked in. The second we walked in, all these big, hairy biker dudes just stop what they're doing and turn to look at us. Our new friend asks if the prez is around, which I'm assuming means the club's president, and when he's told that oh my god, I'm gonna pass out so hard tonight in the bed, on the floor, in the garage. Going nonverbal at the function. My sister took me out to clubs when I was 12. I remember being in a taxi and thinking, wow, I'm not even a teenager yet. Well, really? What kind of clubs was that they just like looked at you and they're like, come on in? I wish I could drink energy drinks late at night. That'd be so nice, but I know that would totally screw my sleep, probably. That release of cortisol just keeping you up. Remember the 2 jars of corn liquor you could buy in a Ziploc bag with 2 Mountain Dews? Was that at the family reunion? Where'd you get that? Also, I heard that fast food restaurants were having like a food war or something like that, where they were trying to like lower their prices below each other to like make up for all the losses they took during the price increases post-COVID. And I was curious if any of you guys have stumbled across any fast food restaurants that may or may not have had some pretty decent deals. Speak up. Quickly. I've got a gun in my hand. Well, my fingers are pointed like a gun. You can imagine what that's like. Dodgy clubs in the UK. Oh, okay. Dude, I really want to go to the UK at some point. I probably will at some point, just to see what it's like to go into those pubs. I mean, just the idea of like going into a pub that everyone knows you at and just like drinking all day from 8 a.m. Sunday till you get thrown out into the streets and eaten by a werewolf. That just sounds so cool. Did you ever go to May's in Pennsylvania? Never heard of May's. What is that? Meal deal is goated? What is it? There's $5 meals? No way, man. See, that's what's crazy. It goes to show you, like, they've been upcharging your ass for so long because they have to figure out a profit margin to give you the $5 meal. But they've been fucking us for so long because of, like, just this, like, post-COVID, just the idea of, like, oh, I mean, I'm sure there was obviously issues with the supply chain and then, inflation and then the cost of everything trickles down or whatever. But, like, I'm sure there's a little bit of motivation as well to like artificially inflate the prices as well. Ending the stream soon? No, we still got the rest of this story, which we're only halfway done, and then another one after this. So maybe we got another hour or so. Damn, another hour. It's 3 hours and 15 already. W Food around Lewisburg and Bloomsburg. Small chain restaurant. Oh, okay, small chain stuff, yeah. Wendy's over BK and McD's all day. Are they cheaper? Have you thought about Onika burgers? What are those? We're not doing Bidenomics. What about Bidenomics? They're changing it. Maybe they like, who knows? Maybe they think the economy's about to turn around, so they're like getting deal. That's always like the interesting part is like whenever you start looking at like the going up to an election, when you start like kind of like paying attention to what like corporations are doing in the background, which kind of give you like a low-key indication of what to anticipate, I feel like that's where you should really, infer the future a little bit, is based on what like corpos are up to. Who am I voting for? Well, listen, just because Joe Biden dropped out doesn't mean that I'm not still going to vote for him. All right? I don't care. I'm voting, and if my vote gets cast, he's going to have to leave his basement at least 2 to 3 times a week to come hang out with me. He's still my prez. Even if he doesn't remember my name, and listen, I'm a nurse. I can change his poopy diaper. I'm not just riding with Joe, I'm riding Joe. Joe. You're gonna vote for Bernie? Is Bernie even... Is he back in Cuba? What's he doing? Vote for Sketch. Vote for Kermit. Yeah, vote for me, guys. If you guys put Let's Read, Joel from Let's Read in the ballot, and take a picture, I will share that on social media. That would be baller. Sick of the current options. It's fine, man. It's fine to be just not satisfied, because I think sometimes like being not satisfied with current options helps like one to realize that the only person that can save you is yourself, you know. I understand like people want so badly for the executive branch, since it gets so much attention all the time, to like change the world or whatever, but I mean just like 2 options is just not enough to like really encompass everything that, you know, and even to contemplate everything that you would desire. And all you have to do is look back through your own personally lived experience under various presidents to be like, was that better? Did I get anything? And if it did, you know, then sure, you know, that's your perspective and that's good. Whatevs. I don't give a shit. Yeah, let's all vote for Jacob. Our new friend asks if the prez is around, which I'm assuming means the club's president. And when told that he was in his office, our new buddy tells us to take a seat at the bar. We do as we're told, but no one comes to serve us drinks or anything. There's just all these dudes and a few chicks standing around, looking at us like, what the hell are you two thinking about walking into a place like this? Our new buddy walked off down a hallway, then after knocking on what must have been the door to the president's office, he walks inside and disappears. Both my buddy and I aren't saying a word, but we're looking at each other like, this is a really bad idea. Everyone in there is giving us death stares, and I even said to one guy, like, the guy said it would be fine, and he says nothing to me in reply. Just grips a pool cue like he's imagining it's my neck and carries on staring at me. I was right on the verge of just being like, we'll just go ahead and wait outside, sorry for the intrusion, when we suddenly heard yelling coming from down the hall. So loud we could hear it over the heavy metal music playing on their in-house PA system. We heard yelling, then some kind of crashing, then our new buddy flies into the hallway with this huge, fat, bald dude following quickly behind. The big dude kicked his butt the entire way down the hallway, stomping him at first, but then dragging him to his feet and smacking him around while screaming all kinds of stuff like, "You dumb POS, are you trying to get us busted? You bring them in here and expect us to I should drag you back and blow your head off, you rat." And my buddy and I get off our bar stools and head towards the way we came in. But another biker dude stands in our way and is like, "You two aren't going anywhere." So right then, in my head, I'm thinking that our new buddy had walked into the office, announced that he'd brought 2 strangers to the clubhouse to buy moonshine, and the club's president had freaked out on him. We knew it had been risky, man. Oh, fuck. You went to their biker meetings? Yeah, I remember, like, I knew somebody from work or whatever that did, like, was part of, like, biker stuff or whatever, and he would talk about, yeah, if you're in one biker group, you're on the other side of town, you just gotta let the other biker group know that you're gonna be on that side of town or whatever. And I'm like, what if you, like, just want to, like, make a sheets run or something? You know what I mean? Like, do you have to hey, Let Donnie know that I'm gonna go get some fucking aspirin. I got a headache. I'm PMSing. My pussy is fucking pulsating, boy. I need my ibuprofen. Alright, I'll let him know. What are you supposed to do? The driving crooner. As you go. Let him know. Yeah, this whole thing sounds like an SNL skit. Dude, I was thinking, I was watching like just, I very seldom catch SNL skits from time to time, but you know how they always have like sort of a cadence to them where it's like joke, same joke, but a different version of that same joke, it's almost like it's always like formatted, and I don't know what you want to describe it as, but like the 1, 2, 3 sort of format where it's just like it just like says the joke and the punchline style, and then it just like repeats that same sort of like concept over again and like repeats the joke again or whatever. And imagine being that guy Lorne, the guy who runs SNL, his name's Lorne something, Michaels or whatever. Can you imagine like just hearing the same fucking like style of comedy day in and day out for 40, how long has it been? 50 years of SNL? 200 years of SNL? Like, I would go fucking bajonkers. What's up, Vitality? How we doing? Way ahead of you, reptile. Yeah. You show up to your biker club in a soccer van.
What's up, fellas?
We knew it had been a risky move to just walk in and ask, but we also figured our new friend was connected enough for that not to be a problem. Otherwise, why bother risking it in the first place? But then apparently, the president had not taken it well, and it seemed it was us that were about to pay the price too. So as I said, one of the other bikers had stepped in our way and wouldn't leave us leave. Rah. So as I said, one of the other bikers had stepped in our way and wouldn't let us leave, right? So we just had to stand there and watch our new friend getting smacked around until he finally turned his attentions to my buddy and I. And right away, I started saying things like, "We're so sorry, we had no idea. He told us it was cool, we didn't know," and all this other stuff. But then instead of just beating us right there, the president points towards the door and tells us both, "Get the F out." I remember feeling relief at first, like this sort of lucky, relieved feeling at the idea that he was just going to let us go. But then, at the same time, I'm not the kind of person to just walk off and leave someone in trouble, and neither was my friend. Every fiber of my being wanted to just walk out of that door, run like hell. But there was also this voice in my head saying, if you just leave that guy here, after he put his butt on the line to get you booze, you were the lowest form of scumbag imaginable. I still feel like that might hold true. It's just that that's not what happened at all. So the big biker guy stepped out of our way so we could leave, but then I say, "What about our friend there? What's going to happen to him?" And the president says, "He's not your friend." I'm still very much in the dark, so I try appealing to the guy's conscience or whatever, telling him he was just trying to help us. But the president yells back, "Help you? He was robbing you. Now get out of here while you still have a chance." And I couldn't believe it. Well, at the time I couldn't, but now it obviously makes way more sense to me. But what I still can't get my head around is the fact that those bikers kind of had our back in a way. I guess when the president was asking something like, "Are you trying to get us busted?" he didn't mean that we might be undercover cops or whatever. He meant that robbing and maybe even killing us would bring way more heat down on them than just selling a little moonshine so they could pay to patch the leaks in the clubhouse roof or something. But anyway, once we realized our new friend was in fact out to get us, we dropped him like a live hand grenade and then got the hell out of there just like the president had told us. We actually dropped a live hand grenade. Alright, this one's kind of shorter, but this is the last one before we bust on out of here. Ooh, man, I'm exhausted in the head. You know, I have gone. Give me that. I'm going to eat that. You know, I have gone periods of time whenever I work night shift without sleep in hopes to like reset my schedule for a few days or whatever. And I know how exhausting that feeling can be, where like your ever waking moments are constantly spent ruminating on the fact that you want to climb into bed at any time, but you can't. And I'm curious what it would feel like to be like really sleep deprived. Because in that Napoleon movie, he was like, all like, I don't know, they made a point to like show him when he would be like standing there like making decisions with his hands behind his back. He would just fall asleep like standing up, or like fall asleep like having a conversation with somebody. And yeah, it doesn't seem fun. Oh, hearing and seeing things, yeah, that would suck. See the Hat Man. Isn't it kind of weird where if you take too much like Benadryl and stuff, people mention about seeing the Hat Man? Or like I specifically remember like taking Benadryl, trying to fall asleep, waking up, looking on the ceiling and like seeing like a purple, bluish, ethereal fucking spider, like huge spider, like crawling on the ceiling. And then I like closed my eyes being like, oh fuck, it's just a hallucination or a nightmare. And then like opening my eyes and like still seeing it like crawling on the ceiling like really fucking fast and like jumping towards my face, and me like closing my eyes real quick like ah, and like thankfully it like went away. But it's just strange to think that like certain medications, in the same way that like people who take like ayahuasca or DMT, they're like, oh, I saw the elves, we saw the elves when I got high. Like, why the fuck do some people see the Hat Man? Hi, kitty. What are you doing? Come on. Up. Good boy. Alright, guys. This is the last story of the schmeevening. A few years back, I was hiking the Appalachian Trail with a few friends of mine, and we ended up stopping at a campsite that had comfort stations and all of that. One night I woke up at around 2 in the morning and needed to use the bathroom. The site was one of those corner sites, so there was a really short trail at the back of the site which led through the woods before you get to the lights where the washroom is. I guess I could have gone around the front, but I figured that I would just cut through there like I usually do to save time, because I was tired and needed to pee real bad. So as I'm passing the middle of the trail, I hear a very faint noise coming from my right, something that sounded almost like laughing. I didn't freak out or anything. Like, I know raccoons and porcupines make something like a sort of tee-hee-hee sound at night, and I couldn't see anything like a raccoon or a porcupine, but it was dark, so why would I? I just kept going towards the comfort station without a second thought, but then a few seconds later I hear a voice deep in the woods, a woman's voice asking, "Hello?" To say I jumped was an understatement. But then I was just startled, you know? Not scared at all, but I also didn't know what to say in response, or if this girl was talking to me or someone else entirely. I ended up just saying, "Hey," and sort of as friendly. Let me go back. Jesus Christ. Too much Benadryl a couple weeks ago, and I kept thinking and swearing up and down a shadow was moving in and out of the corner to look at. Yeah, I remember, like, it doesn't take a lot for me to take too much Z-Quil, but the bad thing when I take too much Z-Quil is that, like, it actually has the opposite effect, and, like, right when I'm about to fall asleep, and this was the worst thing whenever I was going to Australia and, you know, getting such shit sleep on the way there, was that I took some of it thinking, like, oh, I'll just, like, pass out for the rest of the night and we'll be good. And then it ended up having the opposite effect, where every time I would start to, like, doze off, my body would just go like it would, like, kick itself awake, you know what I mean? And god damn, that was the worst, because I just, like, could not get to sleep, because, like, every time I was about to pass out, it would just be like and it, like, I've had that happen in the past, where, like, one time I thought, like, oh, I'm gonna take, like, 45, you know, mLs of, you know, Z-Quil, the three times 3 amounts, you know, and yeah, I just, like, it kept, like, knocking me awake and reset. It was so bad. Anyways, bad leg shakes. Yeah, I think that's, yeah, I don't know what the fuck it is. So weird. Drugs are so strange, dude. But then I was just startled, you know, not scared at all, but I also didn't know what to say in response, or if this girl was talking to me or someone else entirely. I ended up just saying, hey, in, like, a sort of friendly voice, because if some girl was freaking out hearing footsteps in the middle of the night, I didn't want her to think that I was some kind of creeper. But then after I said hey and there was no response, and that's the point that I started to get a little bit freaked out. Once I was at the comfort station, I did my business and managed to talk myself out of having a serious case of the creeps. I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that, and I still don't, to be honest, and although the timing and sudden silence had been fairly creepy, I knew that worst case scenario, it was just a person that was probably as spooked as I was. Anyway, so I started heading back the way I came, thinking, if I heard anything this time, I'm just going to sprint. But I'm getting further and further along the trail, and it's as quiet as the grave out there. I'm maybe 75% of the way along the trail, thinking to myself, I hope I didn't scare that girl too bad, when I hear her voice again. Only it's not her voice. It just sounded like her voice, but it was different in a way that made my skin want to crawl right off my body when it said, "Come back." And I think that was the fastest I've ever ran in my entire life. I beat feet like an athlete and threw myself back into my tent so frantically, sorry. Obama. What if Obama and Michelle fused together? You would get Big Mike. I beat feet like an athlete. Oh, it rhymes. That's sick. Those weird jolt-awake moments are terrifying. They are. Joe, I keep going back to that long vid you put out not too long ago with the plates story. I love it, and I can't stop thinking about it. Oh, wait, which one was that? Was that the one with all the creepypastas and stuff in it? Like the scariest stories you've ever heard? That was awesome. That was freaking awesome, man. I beat feet like an athlete and threw myself back into my tent so frantically that I woke everybody up. They kept asking what was wrong, and all I could say was, I think I just freaked myself out is all. There was no way in hell they'd believe me if I told them what I'd heard. They'd think that I was drunk, high, or just a little baby man, or maybe a little of all three. But they would not believe that I heard a voice change in a way that it did. It sounds crazy, but I actually hoped that they would hear it at some point, but we moved campgrounds that next day, and I didn't hear anything like it for the whole rest of the trip. I'm obviously very glad that's the case. I just wish that I knew what I heard that night, because I'd be lying if I said that question didn't keep me up. I just wish that I knew what I heard that night, because I'd be lying if I said that question didn't keep me up at night. Little baby man. Not beating the feet allegations. Beating off the feet allegations. Yummers. Alright, guys, thanks for hanging out. Goodbye. Just kidding. We gotta read the outro here, though, but that was 5 stories that we just absolutely tore through. Let's go. But you guys gotta think of something funny for me to say at the end of the video. If it's not funny, you will be doxxed. Just kidding. Alright, oh, there it is. You ever wish you had a coin slot? Yeah. Alright, guys. Remember to eat your bread or bread man will Hey, friends. Thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted. Damn it. Why is it like... My voice gets like cracky right at the end. We're gonna play some COD tonight. I haven't played COD in forever, but if you like COD, not the fish, but the video game, you should look up the game. I was talking about it earlier in the stream. It's called Body Cam. And it's basically, there's 3 modes: deathmatch, team deathmatch, and then like bomb something, which is basically just a Counter-Strike style game. But man, that game is fascinating. You know, for like, it really, like, it's one of those ones I'm a little concerned that it's not going to get as much traction as I would like it to, but it definitely also feels like a sort of foundational game for the jumping off point for like the next generation of what shooters could be, you know what I mean? And it's so crazy to think to me that that sensation is coming from like, it was created by 2 brothers. One's 17, one's 20. Like, can you imagine that? Yeah, it's on Steam. It's like $25 or something. But it's just so crazy to me that like 2 brothers, young kids essentially, can just make something which I feel like as of right now is kind of groundbreaking. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. EST, and there are super fun live streams on Sundays and Wednesday nights. If you get a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/letsreadofficial, or over email at letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all your future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks offered for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories and big compilations remastered and sounding awesome every Tuesday at noon, located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, Joel for President 2924. Yeah, maybe they'll be able to transfer my like consciousness based on the voice. They'll notice that my voice actually has like a sort of medicinal effect on people's, like a hypnotic effect on people's minds. And that in 2924, when they can kind of like purely transfer that consciousness to like an entity, you know, and dune beetles can be president or whatever, they'll put me in a big beetle and I'll kind of be like a sort of hypno-toad vibe. Yeah, my disembodied head. That's so crazy. Are there any like detached heads like just waiting to be reanimated in the future? Do we have any of those ready to go? Because that's freaking sick. Even though they're probably just dead forever, but it'd be so interesting, like if you were like, I don't know, suspended in some sort of like ethereal realm, and then all of a sudden they were like reanimating you and you just get like pulled back. You're like, oh fuck, Alright, friends. Thanks. Bonus feature for subscribers should be Fall Guys or any game for community live stream, but still have the scary sign in the background of the community stream and no face revealing. Just saying. It would be fun to play games with you guys for sure. I just don't really know if I have time to really be able to do gaming streams, or if they would be like as successful as the normal ones. But I like what we're doing right now. If you guys have any other ideas, do let me know. But otherwise, I'll go ahead and get this edited up on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for early access. You can do a free trial as well, which is sweet. And otherwise, it'll be up on YouTube probably around 9 p.m. tonight, even though I say 7 p.m. in the one outro. I don't know. I've just been doing 9 p.m. because it seems like it gets more response that way, especially in the summer, people going to bed a little bit later. But alright, friends. Thanks. This was a fun night. I'm glad to be back on another week of Let's Read. But yeah, love you guys. Follow me on Twitter at Let's Read. Follow me on Instagram at letsread.official. And I will see you guys in the next stream. Adios.